Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the day 8 of the Joint Faculty Development Program on AI for Teaching and Learning, jointly organized by the ICT Academies of IIT Guwahati, MNIT Jaipur, IITDM Jabalpur, IIT Kanpur, and NIT Patna. So I welcome you all to the day 8 of the program. Today the session will be taken by Dr. Satyendra Singh Chauhan, sir, from MNIT Jaipur. So, sir will be joining by 2:05. So, as soon as he joins, we will start with the session. Thank you. Uh, Good afternoon, Dr. Satyendra Singh Chauhan, sir. Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yes, am I
Good.
audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay.
So, dear participants, we have our expert for the session connected with us. So, before handing over the platform to sir, let me give his brief introduction. Dr. Satyendra Singh Chauhan earned his MTech and PhD in Artificial Intelligence from Computer Science and Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, where his research focused on finding out algorithmic solutions for AI planning problems. His research areas include emerging techniques in AI such as continual ML and open world ML. His innovative work has been published in several renowned international journals, contributing significantly to the academic discourse in his field. He has more than 7 years of experience in academics and research. Before MNIT, he worked as an assistant professor at SGSITS Indore. He is a senior member of IEEE and he has been a reviewer, TPC member of international conferences and reputed journals, including IEEE Transactions. He is currently executing various research projects sponsored by different government departments and industries such as DRDO, DST National Supercomputing Mission NSM, and the Government of Rajasthan. He has supervised 4 PhD and 9 MTech students, and currently he is supervising 5 PhD students and 3 MTech students. So, with this brief introduction, I would like to welcome and hand over the platform to Dr. Satyendra Singh Chauhan, sir. Over to you, sir.
Uh, okay, so we can start the session. Let me share my screen first. Okay, second. Okay, uh, so is it visible? You can just write yes or no on chat.
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Okay, great. So today's session, we are going to discuss about Copilot in teaching and learning. So in today's session, what we are going to see, what is Copilot, and you must have seen various during other sessions that already have been conducted in this FDP. You might have come across various LLMs like ChatGPT, Grok, or any other. You might have seen Gemini as well. So in this session, what we are going to see uh, specialized LLMs called copilots, and what are the copilots and how it is differed from LLMs, and what are the options available right now in Copilot, and how Copilot helps in teaching and learning, and what you can do using Copilots as a teacher, and what students are actually doing it uh, in uh, various university, how they are using Copilots for their uh, daily academic work. And after this, we'll have a demonstration of some of the existing Copilot, and then towards the end, we'll have a short demo of creating your own Copilot using Olama framework. Uh, Apologies for this extra L, so it's Olama framework. So Olama framework, using Olama framework, you can create your own chatbot with minimum coding requirement. Also, one of the beauty of Olama is all the co-pilots or LLM that you are using, it's are on cloud or online. So one of the problem is none is there. So every LLM is reading your data, accessing your data. It might have security concern. Olama gives you flexibility to create your own Copilot or own LLM on your system itself. So even if you are not connected to internet in an isolated system, privately to your own system, you can create your own uh, Copilot or LLM using Olama. So we'll have so the 2 hour session I have divided into three parts. Basically, part one will have a basic idea of what is Copilot, theory part, theory discussion, foundation of Copilot, existing Copilots are there. Then hands-on session or demonstration session will be on part two, where we are going to see some of the existing Copilots, how students and teachers can use, and actually students are already using it, and ethically, unethically, they are using it for their assignments, for learning, for everyday tasks in academic. And then the part three will have a demonstration of creating our own Copilot. So this will be the agenda for today's lecture. And in between, if you have any question, you can just write on the chat. What I'll do uh, in every 5 to 7 minutes in between, I'll check uh, the chat whether there is any question or not. So are we ready to start? Okay, so let's start the session. So first of all, what is Copilot? Okay, so 1 second. All right. Okay. So when we say co-pilot, informal terminology for informal understanding of co-pilot means that you have someone as an assistant that is helping you out in some task. In AI, the co-pilot means a AI powered assistant that you have, which is besides you the task that you are doing. It could be a daily task. As a teacher, you want to create some assignments, or reading some papers, or doing some task of drafting some reports. Any daily task as an academician. Copilot is like a assistant tool that works together with you to automate those tasks and make those manual tasks uh, as fast as it can be. So most of the manual tasks or writing tasks which required some time, these co-pilots can help you to do those tasks. And these are all the software, but unlike traditional software, which requires a exact command that what you want to do, Copilot is based on AI, which uh, can use natural language. So you can write in English or any natural language, and the Copilot understands the contextual meaning of it and do the task as per your requirement. One of the popular Copilot is Microsoft Copilot, which similar to ChatGPT that you might have seen in the previous sessions, where you write some prompts and instructions in terms of prompts, where you want to some uh, want ChatGPT to give you some response in natural language. Similar to this, Microsoft Copilot is an conversational AI powered assistant that is built by Microsoft. And as I have said, it is why we are calling it Copilot, because it works together with existing tools like Word, PowerPoint, and other tools that Microsoft provide. So, for example, if you are writing any uh, lecture plan on Word, So Copilot will be there as an assistant for you to uh, faster the process of writing the lesson plan or assignments. So Copilot, similar to LLMs, ChatGPT can answer the questions. You can ask to create summaries, to generate images, or even it helps you with the decision making by pulling it relevant informations like finding out some information from the document, or finding out some key information that is available there, or any task that you want to perform using Copilot. And so how it works, you enter a prompt similar to ChatGPT. For example, let's say summarize the document. And unlike traditional uh, LLMs, it is specifically works with the data that you provide, and based on that AI process and response. And behind the scene, the LLMs are there, pre-trained models, large language models are there. However, they are tailored to perform a specific use cases. For example, in Microsoft Copilot, you can use it with the different productivity tools like Microsoft Office or Edge browser that we are going to see in the demonstrations session. So it allows, so by integrating a LLM with tools, it can access to your data, specific data, and give you a specific response, the task that basically that you want to do. So, for example, let's say emails, writing emails, drafting emails, uh, and also because it is an integrated with the tool, so it do not share, or unlikely it is going to share the information externally. So they make it better for the work specific task, right? Whereas when we talk about chat gpt or other models, uh, like DeepSeek, Grow, or other LLM models, co-pilots are basically for the specific task, right? So just a question, though through the schedule, I assume that you might have interacted with ChatGPT or Gemini. Just wanted to know whether you had an interaction with ChatGPT, or you have used a ChatGPT or not. Yes or no in the chat, simply. Okay, great. So somewhere you all have some interaction with LLMs prior to this FDP, or even in this FDP, the earlier lectures that you have. So the idea of co-pilot uh, is focused towards productivity and all those manual tasks that required some efforts and time. The co-pilot can automate those tasks. And whereas when you use ChatGPT or Grok, they are more of like uh, general purpose chatbots. So you can ask for any topics. ChatGPT basically something like ChatGPT or any other LLM, something like it is an encyclopedia. So you whatever you query give, it gives you a respond accordingly, general purpose response. Whereas Copilot is basically a personalized assistant that is embedded in your tools. So if in summary, in a short, if I say, if simply LLM we are using, then it's a general purpose tool for general queries. Whereas if you integrate LLM with any existing productivity tool, then it becomes Copilot. So you are using the power of LLM. So what LLMs do, you ask query in natural language and they gives you response accordingly. When you integrate with productivity tools, and what could be the productivity tools? What tools that you usually use as an academician or teacher in a daily life, like Word and other writing or drafting tools, PowerPoint, etc. Also, the browser that you use, for example, Edge, Chrome, or the tools like you use Classroom. You must have seen some of the demonstration on Classroom as well. Classroom is example of Classroom like Google Classroom, and other tools you might have used, and you might have interacted for different purposes. When you integrate LLM with it, then it becomes then particular LLM acts as a co-pilot for your work. So the key difference between the Copilot and the Chat GPT or any other LLM is basically Copilots are context-aware tools. So you give the context based on the task that you're currently doing, and that becomes your context for the Copilot, and Copilot gives you a specific answer based on that. So, for example, this is, though if you do not understand it, let me give you a layman idea how it works. The Microsoft Copilot, which is one of the example, whenever a user gives a user prompt to Copilot, which then Copilot uses optional web information for any information it needed from web, or its own context aware information that it captures from uh, its own data structure like Microsoft Graph. So it uses a contextual graph to extract the relevant information. So when query came, Copilot accessed the graph and other services. It might be some uh, relevant or specific data already stored or as a context, and Copilot makes a modified prompt and it gives you the large language model. So, and then large language model based on the contextual information and the user query generate the response. Though it if you technically if you do not understand, you can think of large language model is the core or heart of Copilot, and Copilot is something like a wrapper interface or on high level interface that interacts between user and the LLM. And so directly using the LLM, instead of directly using the LLM, you interact with the Copilot, and Copilot uh, have your contextual information through the tools that you are using. For example, in case of Microsoft, you might be using Word or might be using PowerPoint. Through those information that is there, uh, it creates a specific query that can be asked from large language model, and the large language model then uh, create the response, specific response. So let me show you one example of Copilot. So if you have Window system, you might have seen Edge browser. So in the Edge browser, if you see this here on the top right, you can see here there is a sign for Copilot. If you click here, you will see the Copilot opens here. For example, let me give you some demonstration of it. Let me read some PDF, and let's say I open this PDF in Microsoft Edge, and this is somewhere a random paper I have downloaded for this. So you can ask the question regarding this paper. So normally what we do as a researcher or academician when we want to read some topics or any uh, text is there, when you read about any topics that you are going to teach in the next class, or as a researcher you are reading a paper. So traditionally what we do, we take a printout, we read it, we highlight whatever we understand, and the key findings we write it on the notes as a notes on a paper, uh, or in a virtual environment in terms of word or something else. However, that process of reading a paper itself, itself takes a time. You might complete for example, this paper is of 59 pages, so you might complete in a single sitting, or it might takes a week to read that paper, starting from introduction to the conclusion. So if that reading is going to take the time, the finding out the key findings will take a lot of time in the manual process. To faster this process, you have a co-pilot attached to the product of. So it's a tool. Edge is a tool, and together we have come. There is co-pilot is available, and then you can ask the question specifically for this particular PDF. For example, let's say here we attach. You might have different tabs, so we can attach the tab here. For example, this paper ML was there. You add the tab. Now you can ask anything about this paper. For example, let's say uh, provide 3 4 bullet point summary of this paper. So the co-pilot, okay, because it is being filter out due to content. Why? One second, let me again add tabs. Okay. Provide summary the paper in 3 4. Okay, let me restart this. Sorry, once again. Hmm. Okay. So you can see here when we ask the summary of this paper, for example, it is showing in one paragraph, it is showing the summary of this paper. So what paper produces. Even you can ask various questions. For example, if you are reading the paper, uh, you you're trying to understand each and everything. Though the text that is written there you can easily understand, but when somewhere when algorithms come, or let's say equation comes, for example, there is equation number one is there, so you can specifically ask the co-pilot that, okay, explain the equation one in the paper, and given give a working example as well, working example in simple terms. So you can see here Copilot can give you, so it reads the particular equation, and in plain terms it is explaining each and every symbols that has been used in the equation. So now you can see here when a paper that needed, let's say, weeks to read and understand and iterative reads. So somewhere in the research methodology I attended during my early PhD time, it was there is a concept of there is a methodology of reading a paper. where we read a paper 3 times. So whenever you read a paper, to understand it, you read it for 3 times. One for first, you just read the abstract, introduction, and the conclusion to get the idea what paper is, what is the objective of that paper, the problem statement that the paper solves, and what was the findings that you have in conclusions. Then, but that gives you the idea of what the paper have done. And the second reading, when you read whole text, leaving aside the mathematics that is there, and from an abstract to conclusion again, then that it gives you some idea, a broad idea about how the methodology works for particular paper. And in the third iteration, in the you read the paper from start to end again, including the mathematics and understanding everything that is there in the paper. So that performing those 3 steps again and again, it might takes a lot of time, and manually it takes a lot of time to read and read a paper, understand a paper. So in between reading a paper, you can use Copilot to understand some difficult terminologies. You can see here it is also giving a working example which is not there, which is not given here inside the paper below the equation number 1. So you can ask for working example which shows how what this equation denotes and what is the example. Even not only research paper, if you're reading a book, you can open a book in a particular tool, for example, Edge, Microsoft Edge, and using the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, you can ask and interact various questions that you have. So, for example, provide uh, key findings of this paper. So you'll see here it is providing some of the key findings that uh, of this paper, like novel framework for real-time tweet event detection, selective forgetting have been used for of outdated events, accuracy and efficiency, scalable and lightweight design. Now, unlike LLM, where you might have seen when sometime you ask some questions in some of the session, the terms hallucinations have been appeared, where when you ask anything, sometimes it makes up the story, so it creates a story, or it creates data which does not exist, or which do not exist in the real world. However, here Copilot is only giving you the response from the data that you are providing. So most of the task as a teacher or as a researcher that you can do, and not only research paper, let's say you are reading a book and you want to prepare some material for tomorrow's class, and you have a lesser time to prepare it. You can open that PDF or book in the tool, and using the Copilot, you can ask the question. You can ask for the examples for it. For example, in book, you might not be having example for working theorem or working equations, or any other algorithm that is given there, or any topic. You can ask the questions, and then Copilot will generate the examples that were not there. So in that way, the learning as a teacher, if you want to uh, understand a topic that you want to teach, or some new topics you are going to cover in the class, then you can help Copilot to reduce the time of understanding. So in manually, what we do, we take a book and then we read it, and then pen and paper, we work out the algorithm, we work out the understanding that we do. For example, in a mathematics book, we try to solve some of the questions, and then once we understand, we prepare the notes for the next class. So using Copilot, you can reduce those tasks. Even you can ask, for example, let's say from this paper, what could be the next uh, research directions of future enhancement So okay, so spelling mistake over there, but still the co-pilot understand that we can, as a human in natural language, we can make mistakes. So you can see here. So dynamic ODE in CD list size. So which was the current limitation of this paper, which is using fixed size outdated event list that can be enhanced in a new by reading the paper and finding out those key research direction which might not be have been mentioned there. You can ask, and there are lots of things you can play with it. You can ask so for example, if you are reading a survey paper, if you want to find out so what is the span of year that literature survey have conducted, I mean from which year to which recent year the papers have been reported in this survey paper, so then it will give you a response out of it. Also, you can ask, let's say, give me a tabular comparison for all the types of approaches given in the paper. So this will give you a tabular comparison for this. So the whole idea is the co-pilot is similar to LLM, means behind the scene, it is using the LLM. However, we are using co-pilot. We are saying it is a co-pilot because we are using it as an integration with a tool to perform some tasks. Uh, you can just write on the chat if I'm going fast. If you understand it, please let me know. So is it going good? Are you so okay. So there are some questions. Can we also check the grammar of any word or file? You can ask. You can explore. It's an LLM. If LLM can do it, then obviously. So I've shown you some possibilities. You can open the any PDF on Edge browser and then ask how many papers can it read simultaneously. Again, you can uh, I'll uh, I'll leave it up to you to explore. However, to demonstrate where how you can add the papers, so you can have papers in multiple tabs, and you can add more tabs for the. For example, one tab is already added. You can add more tabs if there is open. Then you can ask the question for multiple papers or multiple uh, reports or multiple, let's say, books. Even a book, you can open it and you can ask the questions. Is there any limitation on number of queries we can ask? So okay, so that's a good question. In most of the copilot are not free. However, the Copilot in Edge browser, it's more or less free, so you can ask many questions. However, the response that it generates, for example, if you ask Copilot to generate an image, or so the if let's say paper have not given a image of methodology, and you are asking to create an image of that methodology given in the section number this, or let's say if you are reading a book on mathematics, let's say R.S. Agrawal, or let's say any other book where in chapter number 2 there is some steps have been shown on, and what you want to do as a teacher in the next class, you want to discuss that approach or theorem, or any other methodology you want to discuss. However, you do not want to write the text, you want to come up with a diagram. So then you can ask to create a diagram. However, the free version or the basic version might not give you the image response as well. However, there are lots of uh, responses it gives you, which I mean more or less do most of the tasks that you need. Yes. So any other question? Is there any limit ho gaya? So I'm requesting. Okay, so how can Copilot help in creating a site using Shift? That's again, I mean, if there is a co-pilot available there with SharePoint, then obviously you can ask co-pilot. So I'll we'll see some of more examples of co-pilot here. Microsoft Copilot is one of the Copilot. that we had just seen here. So we'll see the GitHub Copilot as well, which students use, and obviously uh, any other tools you can use. And some of the extra tools we are going to see for diagrams, and so in upcoming session tomorrow. Today we are just focusing about the Copilot uh, framework or Copilot terminology, what Copilot is and what Copilot do. Okay, so any other questions if you have? I hope you understood the term what is Copilot is and how it is differ from LLM. Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay, so coming back to the presentation. Yes. So this was the example of Copilot that we have seen, where uh, which is integrated with the tool. Here, this screenshot shows the Copilot with the OneDrive. So, particularly for Microsoft Copilot, the Copilot is available with the subscription with the tools. For example, if you open Word, MS Word or MS PowerPoint, you might not see Copilot there. With Edge, it is available. However, with other tools, you might need a subscription to use Copilots together. Basically, the MS Office tools that are there. So these are the Copilots that are available. Uh, Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is we just saw the glimpse of it. It has a Office integration, so with Words, with Excels, you can use it. There are various things you can do. You can open a Excel sheet. It might be a grading of students, or it might be having some numbers, or it might be having various rows and columns. And besides using Microsoft Copilot, you can ask the questions. For example, let's create a dashboard of this data that is given in the tables, or finding out the mean, mode of basic statistic operations you can do, or you want to compare two columns or number of, you want to create a grading of out of it. So instead of writing formulas there in the cell, so we write formulas in the Excel by using equal to sign and then writing some function, and we give the cell numbers. So instead of writing those formulas by yourself, you can ask the Copilot to create uh, and extract the information from these tables. And also you can ask the Copilot to create formulas to calculate the grading, or to calculate the same many operations. Then there is a GitHub Copilot, which the students already heavily using this Copilot with code writing. If I don't know if how many of you are teaching or interacting with the computer science students. However, not only computer science student, where the students uh, doing any kind of coding, whether it is in electrical background, or electronics background, or computer background, or any other background, somewhere some of the advanced students are using GitHub Copilot to write the code, and it is free for the students and the teachers for both. You might have seen Google Gemini as well. In one of the sessions, maybe I think Dr. Mahipal Jadeja might have shown you this Google Gemini for that is act as a co-pilot in Google Classroom. So how many of you seen that? I'll show you, but just asking a question. How many of you? So if you go to Google Classroom, for example, here, let me on a classroom. So similar to Microsoft Copilot, here you have a Gemini here. If you see here, Gemini is basically a Copilot for it, and there are different questions you can ask. For example, generating a quiz, outlining a lesson plan, and you can write a prompt for it. And you can create a rubric for it to assess the students. For example, you can ask the questions, let's say generate an assignment. Let's say students are undergraduate level and you need, let's say, 5 questions out of it, and topics like, let's say, introduction. So you could have, you can specify, narrow down the generated questions. For example, let's say you might have teach one or two topic in particular subject. Let's say I'm from computer science, so let's say I'm teaching Python programming. So introduction to Python programming, and on the first day I've taught about variables and input and output. That's the topic that I have covered. So it can create a quiz. It is suggested learning objectives that are there. You can change accordingly, and types of questions you want to generate. For example, multiple choice, true, false, and so on. So when you click on generate questions, uh, you can see uh, it has generated some of the question. Which of the following best describe the primary purpose of Python in various field? Then, because I have given the topic that it should generate from variables, so it has given one question from variables, and Python code snippet. This code is given there with input and output command. What could be the answer, and so on. And what you can do, you can ask, you can modify it. You can ask, okay, so give me one line answer, or question with having short answer, or please remove this topic or extend this topic, or give me a code, like output the code, or any other modification that you need in the assignment. And you can directly export it. So what you can do, you can directly add to a class. So you might have a class in a Google Classroom. Earlier, what we used to do to create a assignment or quiz assignment in the classroom, we go to the class. For example, let's say I've created a demo class here. So let's say this is our demo class. So earlier, what we used to do, we go to class, we create quiz assignment, and we give the title, for example, quiz 1. And in the quiz, using Google Form, we create the questions. However, using Gemini, again, so again, the idea is, objective is to reduce the manual task. That's it, right? So creating that Google form manually, suggesting which answer is right, and so on. What you can do, you can directly use Gemini to uh, create the quiz, and accordingly the quiz is created based on the topic that you have suggested. You can uh, modify the generated quiz as well by again suggesting some of the things. So that obviously it's a teacher responsibility to check the content that has been generated, whether it is correct or not. The only thing that Copilot is helping you to reduce the time to create those questions. However, the question that is generated, as a ethical practice, you should cross check those questions, whether it is generated right or wrong, and what the answer that is given, whether it is correct or not. And once you are satisfied, you can export this either to form. So if you click it form, so it will directly export to form. You do not have to create it manually. So pop-up block, so you can see here these questions are generated in forms. And even if you have a Google Classroom, you can directly add the class. So you can provide which sample classwork type is quiz assignment. When you confirm it, it will directly add to the classroom. You can see here it is already added. You just give the title and assign to the student. That's it. So if you go to the Gemini again, let's discard this. You can generate a quiz. You can outline a lesson plan. You might have seen the lesson plan generation in the previous classes. Create a rubrics, brainstorm project ideas, and depending on how you are writing your prompt effectively, it will generate a better appropriate response. And you can re-ask and you can ask to modify the generated response. And once you are satisfied with the generated response, you can use it. So the whole idea of Copilot is to reduce those manual uh, tasks that you do. Also, you have some, so draft a class newsletter or brainstorm a field trip plan, create a professional development plan, support student assessment. You can have uh, various support from the Copilot that is available. Does Copilot or Gemini can refer to any particular website for code generation? Uh, Depends. If you have I mean, subscription version, then it can access to it. Then some of the Copilot might access to internet as well. So this is so okay. So please show the capability of the free version. So in the Microsoft Edge that I have shown, it is for the free version. So whatever I have shown you, it is so this not uh, in the Edge. It is available, which for which you are saying for about Gemini. Edge is available with Copilot. Classroom, yes, Classroom. Okay, so I am using the institute account because in the institute I'm using my institute account, so it is available there. So yes, most of the Copilot are not freely available. Okay, so rubrics. Okay, so let's say, so how you are going to assess the assignment of an student? What could be the criteria, evaluation criteria? What could be there? So using that, for that you define the rubrics. So rubrics is the I basically the evaluation criteria and expectation from the students. So for example, again, the undergraduate level of this performance level, let's say 5. And if you want to have add some knowledge or skill that you want to demonstrate, for example, uh, application in real world or understanding of a problem and so on. And if you want to have any other instructions, then you can provide your assignment instructions that are there. For example, assignment uh, what could be the best example for it? Assignment is a project based work, and if you ask to Gemini to generate, so real world relevance, so demonstrate, so these are the 5 levels. So for each student you can this rubrics can be used, so you can give far from approaching level, or approaching, or meeting, or exceeding, or strongly exceeding, and these are the criteria on which uh, it can be assessed, whether it's the project or anything. So there too, GitHub Copilot is freely available. I'll show you to that also. However, Gemini is in the Google Classroom. It is though with the official account, whether so it is not a subscription based. So we do not have the subscription of uh, I mean pro version of it. However, the basic educational uh, version, you might find Gemini there. Okay. Okay. Coming back to, okay, so these are some of the Copilot available. Google Gemini is there, which is integrated into Google Classroom. So if you have a workspace means if your institute have purchased a workspace from Google, then which includes the Gmail ID and other classroom, and also it is freely available. Amazon Code Whisperer is there, which works as a co-pilot in AWS, which is also there in the tier architect free tier subscription, and Claude is there, which is again have a free and paid. So these popular ones are these three: Microsoft 360 Copilot, GitHub Copilot, and Google Gemini. So how this copilots can help in teaching and learning, though we have seen some demonstration how it can help. Copilot transforms education by basically making teaching more efficient in terms of automating those manual tasks that earlier need a lot of time. So you can you can create lecture plan as well, you can create the modules and number of hours it needed, and those co-pilots can also automate some of the administrative tasks, so that educators can basically focus on the student interactions only. And this is the statistics with respect to this current year, that 50%, 54% of students use AI daily or weekly, and 86% of those users multiple tools in daily administrative tasks. Tool like Microsoft Copilot, which offers for education, it comes with a chat interface where you can chat it, you can ask the questions, and it has a data protection because on subscription base, the only the login ID and the user that you have, the data it is there only, so no one can else access, and it can helps you with the research, idea generation, and there are other practices you can do. However, the publicly available co-pilots, and then obviously uh, there are the third-party softwares that are there. So data privacy is one challenge, and then the far most important challenge that is there, that is the ethical use. This is one of the problem that currently educators are facing. Educators Somewhere educators are also doing the unethical practices by using those LLMs, as well as the students are also doing uh, unethical practices by just generating the assignment and submitting it without learning anything. So there is a dark side of those LLMs and the chatbots. So for as a teacher, how Copilot can help? So you can generate lesson planning, can generate the content, you can decide the rubric criteria you can create, that how you are going to assess the assignment. You can share this rubrics to the students, and you can use it for research work as well, and some of the admin tasks like draft email, analyzing the data, all those manual tasks that basically takes lots of time, you can uh, do it efficiently using copilots, and you can come up with some brainstorm ideas, which basically improves the teaching learning process. Whereas a student also use co-pilots in various ways, and we'll see how the student can use some of the co-pilots in their assignment apart from those text generation. There's personalized learning they can use, and summarization of the text, and tutoring. It can ask the question regarding one particular topic, and ask for the simple examples to get the idea of the methodology or the topic, that so that it can understand it better. So skill building like coding and debugging can be done using GitHub Copilot. So I'll show you the demonstration of GitHub Copilot, how it is used to write code where you do not, when there is no memorization of syntax is needed, only if you understand the language, and you can just ask the questions to GitHub Copilot, and it integrates with the tool called VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and you can write the instruction to generate the job preparation, CV, and applications. Again, the Copilot can help. So now we'll see some demonstration of existing Copilot. In so one of the demonstration of Microsoft Copilot with Edge we have already seen. We'll see some other. Uh, we can take a short break of 5 minutes. Then we will start again from here. Any questions you can ask in the chat if you have any questions. Yes, obviously it can also help in resume building as well. And even you can give your resume to Copilot and ask. So you can what you can do, you can open your resume as a PDF in any tool, and you can ask the Copilot to assess the resume based on the job application that is there and job description which is given as a requirement in a company or in an organization. And you can ask the Copilot to assess whether your CV is having those uh, prerequisite skills that match to the job description, and uh, and if there is any suggestion you can ask. Yes, you can prepare PPT on a specific topic using Copilot. Yes, it is possible. uh, However, it might need subscription base. Modification in what? Uh, PDF editing. I don't know. In resume, obviously, it can suggest you the modifications that this modification can be done according to particular job description or particular need of it. Someone have asked about the ATS score. You can ask. You can ask. So I'll show you some demo. You can just explore it, whether it can generate or not. You can try it. So okay, so it's 5 6. We'll start again. So it's 3 6. We'll start again at 3:10 after 4 minutes. Okay. So welcome back. So there is a question which will image generated using Gemini will give you plagiarism. So okay. So it actually depends. Let's say if you are generating an image by giving up, I mean, giving a prompt to generate a new image, which might be a let's say flow diagram of your methodology that you have thought about it for your work, then it not, then obviously it will not generate, it will not give plagiarism. However, if you are generating an image which is similar to existing image, or you are just asking you, okay, generate an image for, let's say, this company logo, for particular company you are creating a, give me the logo, then obviously there will be copyright issues and all. However, even Turnitin that you use for plagiarism checker, for image it does not work. Even if you have used image as it is, but obviously it's a unethical practice. So it's a more of a responsibility of the user how it uses. All right. So should we start again? Should we start? Yes or no? Can we start? Okay. So one of the popular copilot uh, in all the available copilots is one is our Microsoft Copilot. Though we have seen uh, basic idea of it, you can access Copilot separately as well. So if you go to the Copilot website, uh, you will find out this interface where you can see some of the existing prompt template are given here, and it has an integration of all those tools that are there with Microsoft, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and so on. And you can ask to create a PowerPoint presentation for it. You can ask, for example, let's say if I ask Copilot to this, so whether it is visible or not. So I think no, it's not visible. 1 second, it's not visible. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, okay. So now I think it is visible. Can you see the Copilot screen online? Yes. Okay. So this is the Microsoft Copilot. You can see on the right hand side, or sorry, left hand side, you have integration of tools of Microsoft like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneDrive, Teams, and so on. And you can ask, uh, as a teacher for teaching and learning process, you can ask to, for example, design, um, let's say 12 weeks, 12-week undergraduate Python programming course for computer science, for computer science. That's it. So And now based on the output that is generated, for example, week 1, week 2 has generated something like this. And let's say for week 3, you want to have a detailed lecture plan, how it is going to uh, conducted there. So you can ask further questions on this. So let's say create a detailed lecture plan on for week 3 function and recursion. So you can ask further question, and the previous response works as a context for it. So for week 3, duration 6 hours, 3 sessions for 2 hours each. And if you need modification, okay, so keep the sessions of 1 hour, then you can uh, so session 1 can be introduction to functions, and these are the objectives and lecture topics what you want to going to cover, and the session 2 and so on. And you can ask even to create a PowerPoint presentation for session 1 week 3 as per the given detailed lecture plan. So that will create uh, PowerPoint presentation as well. So Microsoft Copilot integrates with its own product tools that are there. However, obviously, this might need subscription. Even my subscription was is co- over completed, but it's still it is generating. So you can see here, you can download the presentation, and obviously those presentation might not give you the whole output, but it might give you I mean basic idea and basic template where you can fill it out. For example, examples are given, and then you can modify those examples and so on. Scope of variables. So you can use this PPT that has been generated as a template to for your course plan, and then you can fill the further details as per your requirement. And also you can ask for uh, generating some more detail. For example, you want to change the slide number 2 with this content, or you need one more example, you can ask for it. Even you can for example write a sample solution for the recursion as assignment. So you can generate assignment as well. So you can ask for assignment from week 3, and you can ask for the sample solution as well, and you can see this is generating as well. And you can uh, download this code that has been generated, or as a PDF. So this data that has been generated as a PDF, or the lecture plan, let's say this week 12-week plan you want to download. So you can download create a PDF of 12-week course plan given earlier. So prompt engineering is another area where you write effective prompt to generate particular output. So in this session, our focus is not on the writing those effective prompts properly, effectively. The whole idea is to give you the feeling how Copilot works. So that so you can create Word file, Excel file. You can create Excel also. So that gives you the PDF as well. So the whole 12 week 1, week 2, it has created something like this, though it is not as structured as you want to have, but still Copilot is generating everything. Is the audio clear? So I hope audio is clear. There is no issue. Okay. Now this is and using those, even you can I mean give the create Excel file, for example, let's say uh, where create Excel sheet having column name as student name, midterm marks and term marks and grades. So and how, and you can specify how grade to be calculated and what could the range. So whatever the the output that you want, you can write the constructive the whole specific prompt to generate. So these are the generic prompts that I'm writing, but you can provide more details like midterm marks can be out of 30, end term marks can be out of 50. Grades are given from A to E range, where A is given from in between 90 to 100, and B given for 70 to 90, and so on. So that those criteria you can decide, and you can ask to create the Excel file as per their as per the instructions that has been given. So, and based on your input, the formulas you can also attach to it. So it is all about how you write the prompt and what are the information. So uh, as give as much as information that you want to uh, that, so that the output is more specific as per your need. Okay, so this is the idea of Microsoft Copilot. Let's see from the student side how they are using it for uh, 1 second. There's call. Okay. Okay. Sorry. So the question was on the could it work on input Excel sheet of a student using prompt? So yes, you can open the Excel in the Microsoft Office, and if it is because MS Copilot is subscription based Copilot, so if you have subscription, then you will find out this Copilot icon somewhere in your downloaded version of app or the web browser app, and you can ask the question on the existing sheet, for example summarize or highlight the cell or whatever whatever the changes that you want to do. So on imported Excel sheet of students might contain grades or marks or any other details, you can ask the question and it will give you the answers. So yes, you can do. How do you download the Excel sheets? From where? From Copilot? Question from Sumati Venugopal was how do you answer? So yes, so from my MS Copilot, which is there, I have written that okay, create an Excel sheet. So it has created an Excel sheet, and I've clicked on download uh, option was there. And here, what we are doing, we are using MS Copilot as an LLM, and here, if you see, this is an example of MS Copilot as a co-pilot there. So besides of Excel, you are doing something. So the MS Copilot as an LLM is free. You can use it even if you are having no subscription. You have to just sign in. Then you can use this. Uh, where was it? Okay. So hmm, okay. So this you can use it. However, to use as a co-pilot means with the tool itself, then you need subscription. So yes, you can do it. Okay. So coming up to next, where students are using it. So most of time when because pardon me because I'm from computer science background, so I'll give you the example most of time in terms of coding examples. So even nowadays students do not write the assignments by their own, so they use VS Code. So VS Code is basically an editor where you write uh, code, and let's say if you don't have any idea of how you can code, so uh, let's say you create a folder here to project, or let's say assignment. On let's say first year students have given an assignment to write a Python program. So what was the assignment? What's the name? Okay. Okay, this is your folder. Does not contain anything. Yes. And let's say you create a new file and you want to write a code in Python, and you I mean student got an assignment to write a Python to do some task. Let's say that is assignment 1, and Python have the extension .py. Now there is a GitHub Copilot is there. So you can when you click it, so you get the Copilot here on the right hand side. So you can see here it is having the Copilot. You can directly write prompt in natural language to generate the code. So let's say let's we write some copilot for it. For example, write a Python code, Python program to find the sum of a list of numbers. So that X, it's generating code by code, and once you click it, it is generating all the code that is there, and you are not writing anything. And then you can ask more questions about it. You can one second. Hmm. This is your copilot here. Let me close all this. So let me show you this. This is the copilot. You can see here it is already assignment 1 is already on this file we are working. Now let's say, now let add a function. Let's define the function sum. So now you can see it is written a code here on the left hand side, and if you accept it, this function is defined, and then the call is there. So based on the context we are writing here on the GitHub Copilot, it is generating everything. You can ask for, okay, please explain line by line each code, line by line the code in comment. So now it is adding comments to your code, and if you just keep it, then it will be added into. So see here we are uh, accessing a copilot here, which is a GitHub Copilot. Again, it's a free. So GitHub Copilot is free for students and teachers, and you just have to sign in with your normal email ID, and you can add it Copilot when you open the VS Code, Visual Studio Code. Automatically it asks to add extension for GitHub Copilot, and you open the GitHub Copilot and you can just write whatever you want to do. For example, you now add another function to find out maximum from the same list, which was the numbers. You see here it is added another function maximum number, and the code is working. So you can see here the whole code the students nowadays use GitHub Copilot to write the assignment. So that's so even not only here, even Gemini as a copilot they use for writing programs. For example, one other example I'll show you uh, from two devices. No, I have not logged in from two devices. I have only one device, that is my laptop. Can you explain how to start the GitHub? Okay. So if you close everything, uh, so let me close everything. If you open VS Code, So the Copilot is opened already here. Uh, if you are using for first time VS Code, you will find out somewhere in the start as in uh, adding the Copilot extension. So when you add the Copilot extension, that Copilot will be here in the right hand side, and you have different options. Either you can ask the questions only. So given the code on the right hand side, you can ask the questions, so it will generate only answers. However, if you want to write the whole code, and you want to modify the code and you start writing the code, then you configure it on the edit part. So it is already added into my okay. So let's go over the question. Okay, so no question. You can add another file, and you can work on it, and you will find out everything it is written. And you can see here, you can change the even the pre-trained models. So GitHub Copilot have behind the GitHub Copilot, you have models. GPT models are there, Gemini is there, Cloud Sonnet is there. So you can use different models for the response, LLM models for the response. So nowadays, even I was surprised when last year when I was taking a computer lab, and I've given an assignment to students, and I asked the student to. So it was an standard assignment of programming, and I was surprised when I roaming in the lab, and I saw one of the student was using VS Code, and he was not writing any line. He was just asking uh, GitHub Copilot to generate the code. So nowadays it becomes a challenging task for the assessing the students. Even if you go to Colab, uh, Google Colab, though these are the examples from the coding perspective how students are used. If you create a new Python notebook, you will find out. Here you can see Gemini is already integrated as a co-pilot with this notebook. So instead of writing code here, you can ask the Gemini to create it. For example, uh, write a Python function to find uh, okay. So to even a complex task, complex Python function, you can to find the uh, current temperature in my city, Jaipur. Add necessary uh, libraries and dependence in the program. So automatically Gemini will see here it is generating subtasks. It will uh, loading those libraries by itself and installing those libraries, and it will write whole code. See here it is installing the necessary libraries. Once it is done, it will write a function test and function finish. See, even a complex, let's say you are building a software where you want to find out the current temperature in particular city, you're not writing a single line of code. So it has generated every piece of code here. So nowadays it becomes quite challenging to how you to write the assignment to the students. Okay, so if you do not have if you do not find out GitHub Copilot on Visual Studio, just add the extension of GitHub Copilot. You can just easily search how to add GitHub Copilot in the Visual Studio. Now, before starting the Olama to how to create your own Copilot, because all of these are available online, and this might there might be an issue of security concern you might have. You do not want to share details with it. So instead of that, what we can have, uh, we can create our own chatbot. And even if your computer is isolated from the outer world, if it is not using any internet, still you have the LLM on your system at your own premise locally. So before coming to that, I'll this is the most important part. So because you might have seen how Copilot is helping student and how it is helping the teachers, and when uh, apart from ethical use cases, there are some unethical use cases as well. Students are nowadays using heavily those Copilots and LLM for their assignments and everything. So that brings various challenges. So, like uh, how to I mean establish clear policy on the AI use, because every student began by creating and communicating, uh, creating any assignments or any other thing. You are finding out various use cases of AI. So there are various challenges that are there, and how you going to tackle those challenges. So by establishing clear policies on AI use case, so whenever you create any assignment, you can begin by creating and communicating explicit guidelines that in your syllabus that and in your assignment, that how you can use and you whether you can use or not use, whether you should not use, and if you are using, how much you can use, and policies like how much AI assistance is acceptable. For example, you can use it for brainstorming only, not for submitting the final code or final assignment. And also, uh, it becomes very useful when you educate yourself and the student about AI capability, how it works, and this is the most important that I recently started doing it, starting from understanding. We always write our assignments, projects that we give as a teacher to students based on the understanding of the concepts. So if you shift your assessment criteria, instead of focusing on understanding, you focus on the process, then it will be quite easier to cope up with the current state of the art uh, in AI that brings lots of challenge. So you all the assessment that you do, you can try to shift the assessment ideas by focusing on the process instead of understanding. I'll give you one example of assignment. So also, if you're teaching and something like which AI should not have been used, so somewhere you have to study about those methods or educate about yourself, which incorporates detection and deterrence methods cautiously. So you have to identify methods or detection tools which can identify whether particular piece of uh, let's say learning is done by the learning is created by AI, or basically the student have not used any AI, and then you have to collaborate and iterate with uh, on various aspects. So how you can design your content to make, on the flip side, what you can do, you can design your whole content so that even student use it, you are more focused about whether students are learning or not. So instead of banning AI tools as a collaborative tools, you write open-ended and personalized assignment, which even you suggest that okay, use this GPT model, LLM model, or Copilot, and based on those understanding, you give the answers. So, for example, in Python programming or in a programming language, instead of writing simply a okay, so write a Python program for finding out even numbers, or write a program to finding out the maximum out of these numbers, or write a Python program to short these numbers, or any other assignment that directly you write. Okay, so write this. You can uh, because if you ask to write the code, or if you're asked to write a paragraph on something, they will use LLM to write that paragraph, and instantly in 1 or 2 minutes they will submit it. And even there are some tools like bypass GPT or any other GPT through which they can rephrase the content so that you cannot detect whether it is generated by a GPT or not. So instead of fighting with those tools, what you can do, you can use AI tools and integrate with your assignments. Let me show you one example of it. Uh, so instead of writing, for example, you want to again again from I'm little biased about computer science side. So asking a student to write a Python code to data analysis. So instead of directly asking to write the code for given this data for climate trends, write a Python code that generates the data insights. Here, the objective was to not assess the understanding of not only assess the understanding of the problem, but also assess the process of it. So even the instructions like data set selection and AI prompting, you can suggest okay, choose any available public data set and use any AI tool to generate Python code to load the data set. So you are not testing that whether the student is writing the AI generated to code to load the data set or not. You are saying that okay, so generate the code using LLM and perform basic exploratory data analysis such as this and this. And now, uh, even after using those tools, code evaluation and explanation phase, you can ask the student to review the AI generated code line by line. So how this particular function have worked. Even they are asking the LLMs or asking the LLMs to explain the code. Indirectly, they are learning how the code works. So, or any potential issues such as inefficiency assumptions about data cleanliness to the AI models have been made, and asked to perform some modification and optimization where they apply their understanding. and implement using by modifying the AI generated code. They might be writing prompt on GitHub Copilot, but they need to understand the code, how it works, and how the assignment needs to be done. And then the submission requirement might be changed, and you can ask some questions and discuss using Viva that how AI helped or hindered your process. What was the uh, what was the learning during this modification and the optimization? What particular piece of code have done it? So you can ask those questions, and instead of neglecting or restricting the AI use, you can uh, integrate those AI tools together with the assignment. For example, submission might be a Python script which might contain code AI generated plus your modifications. So total point might be given for 30% for AI collaboration, for explanation and evaluation, and 20% for modification and optimization, and 20% for. So this way you can assess. So this is one of the, I mean, sample idea. However, uh, you can try any different approach to how even they are using the LLMs to write the answers, write the paragraphs, or write the code. How you can integrate with your assessment, so that the purpose of educator, which is to uh, make the student learn about the concepts, is remain intact, even they are using AI technology. So so far we have seen three uh, assessment. Okay, three. There was, okay, fine. So three co-pilots, GitHub Copilot, Gemini we have seen with Colab, and Microsoft Copilot, and we have seen how they works and how you can use those. Now, you might somewhere concern. Okay, so we are using cloud-based providers for this. So, do you have any questions? You can write on chat, or since we have only 5 minutes, so what I'll do, I will have I have another session tomorrow in second half. So I'll take this last portion where we can create our own uh, co-pilot in the first part of tomorrow's session. I hope it is okay. Is it fine? We can take the third part, which was the creating your own co-pilot using Olama. And don't worry, there is no coding on inside it. This is some simple steps that you can follow and you can create. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask. So, how can we play the downloaded mind map as an animation in the classroom? Okay. Uh, Even I'm also exploring various technologies. So, frankly, even I don't know. I'll explore. I will also explore. That's a good question. Okay. Any other uh, question? I hope you understood. So the whole objective of this session was to have a understanding of what is Copilot, how they works, and what are the options are available. And if you, I mean, you want to use LLM as a assistance, take it them as an assistant in your work. Then what are the options are available, which are free, which are subscription based. So I'll share this slide also, so that contains the basic introduction of existing co-pilots. So that will give you idea about the topic that we have discussed. So we'll in tomorrow's session again I'll take one session. So we'll see some of the tools as well for research you can use. So how to create diagrams, what are other ways to read the uh, reports, um, documents, research, how you can compare multiple documents and the multiple research papers. So we'll see tomorrow about this, and also the portion that is the last part, which is the creating your own copilot. We'll see tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. So I think we can stop it
Thank
here.
you, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. On behalf of Professor Gaurav Trivedi, sir, the Principal Investigator of IIT Academy, IIT Guwahati, and the entire team of IIT Academy, IIT Guwahati, I would like to thank you for taking today's session and giving us your valuable time. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this insightful and informative session. Thank you so much.
So can I leave? I can leave.
Yes, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So, dear participants, we have our next speaker connected with us, Mr. Saurabh Agarwal. So, good afternoon, sir. Sir, are you there?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
ठीक है.
So, before handing over the platform to sir, let me give a brief introduction as well. Mr. Saurabh Agarwal is a graduate and postgraduate engineer from IIT Kanpur and IIT Delhi. He is associated with HPTU Kanpur, Great Lakes, Gurgaon, AIMA New Delhi, and NMIMS Mumbai. He is a consultant and developer to Predictive Analytics Private Limited, Bangalore, IBM and UNESCO for business analytics. He has published paper on integrating alternate payment channels and was presented in the 4th International Conference on Payment Channels organized by BankNet India, Mumbai. He has interest in data mining, data analysis, business analytics, structural equation modeling, multivariate analysis, and works on platforms like R, Python, SPSS, AMOS, Modular, IBM Watson Analytics. He has conducted international workshops, trainings for Saudi Aramco, biggest oil refinery in world, Yatinen Bank, Bangkok, Ministry of Road Transport, Abu Dhabi, Course Monster, Australia, GBM Kuwait, and prominent domestic trainings at AIMA, New Delhi, Symbiosis University, Pune, KJSIOM, Mumbai, BGSOM, IIT Kharagpur, Ernst and Young Trivandrum, Triple IT Allahabad, to name a few. So, with this brief introduction, I would like to welcome Mr. Saurabh Agarwal, sir, and hand over the platform to platform 10. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. And on behalf of myself, I welcome all the participants to this second half of today. So I have divided my session in basically into two parts. The first part I'll be devoting on the concepts of AI and how AI is helping all of us as far as the teaching is concerned. And the second will be on something useful, and that is what is the need, is what we call it as the natural language processing. So I'll try to demonstrate using some kind of a code. That code is you don't need to remember that code, right? The code is always available on ChatGPT, but the thing is to understand how can you run the code to get some results. What is the kind of input you give, and that is what you need to understand. For all of us as teachers, the most important is what I feel is the natural language processing, the kind of written data, textual data, which all of us get from the students. How can you process that? Whether that data is from a research, right? Whether that data is from a research paper or a PhD thesis or some kind of a feedback, right? Most of the data collected is in the form of a text. So all of us should know how can you process this textual data to get some meaningful information from it. What are the participants actually trying to say? Now, all of us are attending this workshop, right? Maybe at the end, you are required to submit a feedback on the variety of sessions which are conducted in this workshop. Now, there are two ways you can collect the feedback. One is using a quantitative kind of a questionnaire, and the second is using some kind of a qualitative questionnaire. So, what we feel is, if I see from my perspective, if the data is collected as a qualitative and people are asked to give their perception about the workshop, that will be more meaningful, and you will be able to gather more information about the conduct of the workshop instead of just giving it on a Likert scale of strongly agree to agree. Right. So the next part I'll try to devote on, if we have some kind of a textual data, then how can you use this textual data to get some meaningful information out of it. Right. The emphasis is not on the remembrance of the code. That code, as I said, is always available. From any AI tool, you can get that code. But what all of us should understand is what actually is the input which you need to give in the code, right? That is what I'll try to make you understand, try to make it meaningful for all of you, right? There's too much hype about AI and all that, right? But then using these and a lot of people talk of these free tools available, right? See, I really tell you, nothing comes out really meaningful from these free tools, right? I, either you go for a subscription based tool, or you should be able to understand what is the kind of input these tools require, right? Then only you will be able to get something meaningful out of it. So let me share my presentation. Uh, can all of you see this slide?
Yes, sir, your slides are visible.
Okay. So I'll keep it this size only so that I'm able to scroll up and down. Right. So I'll first tell you the very popular AI tools. Most maybe some of the tools have been told in the last 7 8 days, but I'll try to be a little more meaningful in the way the tools which really work. Right. There are a lot of tools available, but most of them don't give you anything meaningful, right? So these are tried and tested tools from my end, right? So I'll talk of those tools which will really help you to improve your skills as a teacher, right? The only difference I can make is I've tried all these tools at my end, and if anybody is interested, we can later on go into these tools also in a uh, more rigid manner. But these are tried and tested tools which all of us as teachers can use to improve our uh, teaching skill in the class. Now, before coming to this, there are four words which I would like to clarify, which all of us are now using. One is what we call it as, I've tried to put it in in a diagram so that it is easily understood, right? So we have four words which are very popular nowadays, and as a teacher or as an instructor, we should be able to use all these four. One is what we call it as the artificial intelligence. The second one is machine learning. The third one is deep learning, and fourth one is generative AI, and the fifth one, which is newly added to all this, is what we call it as prompt engineering. So these are the five things which the gamut is all about, these five things, right? Some tools are based on either of these five things. So artificial intelligence is the biggest envelope. It involves techniques that equip computers to emulate human behavior. हम मशीन को we want the machine to do entirely what we do as a human being, enabling them to learn like we learn in the primary classes, right? Make decisions, which we do every minute, recognize patterns, right? And solve complex problems in a manner akin to a human intelligence. So, artificial intelligence is where we are trying the machine to do everything which a human being is doing. Though, as of now, we have started this, but it's a long way to go because the human intelligence is far ahead right now as compared to the artificial intelligence. And it will take time before we the artificial intelligence tries to reach the human intelligence. I'll give you a lot of examples, right, to support what I'm trying to say. So, artificial intelligence is the biggest envelope, right? Now, under this, a subset of artificial intelligence is what we call it as machine learning. There are a lot of tools which are based on machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence which uses advanced algorithms to detect patterns in large data sets. So you understand this word, a large data set, right? You have a very large data set, and then only you should use the concepts of machine learning. I have seen a lot of research scholars working on machine learning algorithms with a data set of 100, 200, 300, 400, which is not meaningful, right? Please don't use machine learning for such a small data set. Allowing machines to learn and adapt. Machine learning algorithms use both supervised and unsupervised learning methods. So, as a
So,
teacher, as an instructor, you should know that there are two kinds of methods. One is what you call it as an unsupervised, and other one is supervised, right? So, whenever you talk of doing anything, prediction,
so
right? Yeah,
yes, so sorry to interrupt in between. So please make the presentation in the presentation slideshow format. You can make it full screen for the participants.
fine.
Thank you. Sir.
So, machine learning is for large data sets. And we have basically two kinds of methods in it. One is what you call as supervised, and one is the unsupervised. Whenever you are trying to do some kind of a prediction or a classification, that is where you use a machine learning, where you use the supervised algorithm. And whenever you are interested in doing some kind of a segmentation, right, there, that is where you use some kind of an unsupervised learning method. Let me give you an example. Like suppose you have and you enroll 200 students, and you want to put them into three sections, or 300 students into three sections A, B, and C of 100 each. Right. Now, this is where AI comes into picture, and you can use a machine learning algorithm that each of the three sections have similar students. Right. It should not happen ki uh, the performance of the teacher is is dependent on the kind of students you have in that section. So generally, all the students should have a similar IQ, right? Then only students will also understand, and the teacher's delivery will also be appreciated. If you have too much variation in the IQ of the students, then some students will be able to grab faster, and the other students may not be able to grab faster in the same section. Now, this is where this machine learning comes into picture. And once you put the data for all the 300 students, right, you can use a unsupervised learning method, in which the method or the machine learning technique will itself put these students into three sections, and each of these sections is more or less homogeneous. That is where we use the word homogeneous, right? Homogeneous and heterogeneous, right? So that is an example which now many universities and institutes are using for segmenting these students into sections. The advantage is you get homogeneous students in the same section, and the teaching of the teacher or the instructor is more effective. So that is where a machine learning algorithm comes into picture, right? There are variety of unsupervised learning methods which are available, right? I'll tell you the methods, and then we can also see which is the AI platform, which I'll tell you later on, right? Which can help you achieve this. Now, some of the popular algorithms might be you must have heard of, right? Is like you call it as hierarchical clustering technique, multidimensional scaling, right? K-means cluster, right? These are all machine learning techniques which can help you do this kind of an issue, right? Since all of most of us come from the teaching background, that is why I gave this kind of an example. Otherwise, unsupervised learning methods are used for a variety of situations, like clustering of students, clustering of customers, right? Clustering of uh, people who are taking for a telecommunication operator, you cluster their people who have taken their subscription, right? So there are many examples where people are using this unsupervised learning method. Now, if you do some kind of a prediction, right, whether your student will pass or not, right, what kind of a grade he may get, right, so that you can tell the student in advance that you are not moving in the right direction. That is where you can use a supervised machine learning algorithm. And there are many algorithms which help you achieve this supervised learning method or the prediction. Right. Now, prediction be there are two ways of prediction. One is predicting a grade, whether a student will get grade A, grade B, and the prediction of the marks. These are two different things. Right. Generally, prediction of marks technically is known as regression, and prediction of a grade, which is discrete, is generally known as classification. So we have a lot of AI tools which can help you achieve this, right? All of us will be able to use the AI tool, but more important is to understand which tool to use. There are so many lectures, so many YouTube videos, and people telling so many tools, right? The problem is not the availability. There are a lot of tools which are available. The problem is, based on your situation, what kind of a tool to be used. And if you don't match the correct tool with the correct finding, right, or the current or the objective, you may not get the correct finding, right? So that is really what is happening in most of the places. सबको बहुत सारे tool पता हैं. People know so many tools, and people talk of so many tools, right? But they are not able to map which tool to use for what kind of an objective that particular person has. And you can have a lot of objectives in your mind. The scenario which has changed is for the same objective, we were spending so much of time making a good PPT, right? Finding out keywords, right? Now all this is easy because of these AI tools available, right? So availability is there, but the problem is which tool to use for what kind of a requirement. That is what people are not able to map, right? That is what people are not able to achieve, and that is where I'll put a little more focus on. So the outer envelope is your artificial intelligence. Under that you get this machine learning. आपको उसके अंदर machine learning मिलेगा, right? Now inside that machine learning is what we call it as the concept of deep learning, right? Deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and this is something which is very close to human intelligence, right? आप सबको पता होगा the human brain basically consists of neurons, and that is where we have picked this concept of neurons in deep learning. तो हमारे human brain में you have billions of neurons. Neuron is what? Neuron simply is an excitable cell. You put your finger in a hot water, you will remove it because there's an electrical signal which goes from the neuron in your brain to your hand or your finger. That concept of neurons is adapted in AI in the process of deep learning. And we have a lot of techniques which are put under one umbrella and which is what is used as neural networks. It's a wonderful technique, right? But you need to understand what kind of a neural network to be used for what kind of a scenario, right? And which AI tool maps that kind of a neural network. That is the understanding, right? Simply talking of so many tools may not resolve the issue. So deep learning leverages multiple layers of artificial neural networks to extract high-level features from the raw input data, right? Simulating the way human brains perceive and understands the world. So we need to understand, sir, if this is the requirement as an instructor, as a teacher's point of view, then is it the deep learning? Is deep learning a solution? Is machine learning a solution? If this is the solution, then which AI tool maps the concept of machine learning and which AI tool maps the concept of deep learning? Now, the latest thing which has come up is what we call it as generative AI. Right now, this is a subset of deep learning. Generative AI is a subset of deep learning models that generates contents like text, images, or code based on the provided input. So suppose you are developing a lesson plan, like for me, I'm developing a lesson plan. So you need to give some keywords, and based on those keywords, it will generate the lesson plan. It could generate the images which you can incorporate in your lesson plan. If you are doing, suppose, natural language processing, right, you can generate the code also to do that natural language processing. Generating the code is not difficult. The difficult part is what is the input you need to give to that code. That is the more difficult part, right? Until unless you understand that thing, right, you may not get anything meaningful out of it, right? So many people using Chat GPT, Gemini, Perplexity, all that, but I don't think people are actually deriving what most of the people you hear is, sir, we got something, but whatever we got may not be that much interesting. That is where the whole issue is. So, trained on vast data sets, these models detect patterns and create outputs without explicit instruction using a mix of supervised and unsupervised learning. So, to begin with, I wanted to give you this concept of and try to make you understand what these four things actually mean: the concept of artificial intelligence, the concept of machine learning, the concept of deep learning, and the concept of generative AI. Now, after generative AI, we are now in the era where we are talking of prompt engineering. मतलब हमको कुछ keywords देने हैं. We need to give some keywords to generate the lesson plan. But who will tell us what are those keywords? And until unless you give a definite keyword, the lesson plan may not be effective. That is what is the concept of prompt engineering. Prompt मतलब बताना, right? You need to prompt the LLM model, then only it will give you something which is meaningful. And that is where the study is of prompt engineering. So I'll also tell you something about this prompt engineering, right? Then only generative AI will be useful, then only deep learning will be effective, then only machine learning will be effective, and then only AI will be effective. So I think all of us now understand broadly ये पांचों words basically क्या हैं, right? What actually you mean by AI, what actually you mean by machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and the fifth one which I have not included here is the prompt engineering. Okay. Now I'll first go on to tell you, and all of you can note down this, what are the tools which as a educator all of you can use. I have picked 7 education tools that are tried and tested, and they are all available, right? You can download it and you can use it either on your mobile phones or on your Windows platform, both of them, right? I'll also tell you, uh, though all of them will work as a freeware also, but then what are the limitations of the freeware? Because I have worked on each one of them, and then only I'm sharing so that all of you get something important from this session. The first one is, all of you can note down, is known as an audio pen, right? This is a voice to text to write blocks, books, emails, and lesson plans. Since my session is more on lesson plans, so I uh, found this utility to be very good. Audio pen. It is a voice to text to write blogs, books, emails, and lesson plans. You just need to speak and it will get converted into the text. This is an AI powered web app that you can use on your computer or your mobile phone. The application takes your words and enhances them as it generates the text which you can edit as needed. तो वो जो टेक्स्ट जनरेट करेगा उसको आप अपने हिसाब से एडिट भी कर सकते हैं. You can edit the text which it generates. But again, you have to learn the art of what is the text you input. If that text you input is not of a quality, then the lesson plan generated will not be of that quality. That is this is what I have tried and tested, right? So it is very easy to say that you can use this tool, right? There is absolutely no harm to use this tool, but then to use this tool, you should have that skill also, that what is the input voice you will give. And I have seen, as I was working on this and generating a lesson plan for my subject, the moment my voice or the text of my voice changed, the quality of the lesson plan has changed tremendously. That exercise I did, and that is what, as an experience, I am sharing with all of you. So, the first tool which all of you can use, but do spend time on this. It's not that whatever you speak will give you a very good quality lesson plan, right? You try to uh, make your voice or your text voice more better, and you will see the quality of your lesson plan will also change. So all of us can use this wonderful application, AI application, which is an audio pen, right? Most of my most of my applications will be more concentrated towards lesson plans, because my session is more towards the generation of the lesson plan using the AI tool, right? So the first one which all of us can use is this wonderful tool which is known as an audio pen. The second one is very popular nowadays, and that is what is known as a Canva Magic Write. Canva now offers an AI text to image generate called Magic Write, which can inspire creativity in writing. Right? And everybody knows that creativity now is very important. Right? अगर आप कुछ नया thesis लिख रहे हो, if you are writing a paper, then to avoid plagiarism, you should have creativity. So humans can be creative, but we are trying to make the machines also creative. That is the big deal. So if you want voice to text, then it is audio pen. If you want, I'm trying to take all the permutations possible. If you want something, some text to generate images, right, then you can use Canva Magic Write. It provides ideas, helps with brainstorming, and supports lesson planning, making it a useful tool for educators for creating a presentation or other graphic for classroom use. I've used this, right, as I've been repeatedly saying. I have not tried to just write down a few tools. I have first used it and then found it to be good. Then only I am sharing with all of you. Magic Write can assist with many writing tasks that educators may have by analyzing the word prompt and then helping with brainstorming, creating an outline. आपको lesson plan का outline भी create कर देगा, like ChatGPT does, right? So if you use a free version of ChatGPT, it will generate only the outline, right? If you use the subscription, then only it will generate the contents. Writing lesson plans or generating a visually engaging presentation in far less time. Now, visuals are very important, right? Unless until you put visuals in your lesson plan, your lesson plan will not be engaging between the students, right? Because visuals are more receptive to the human brain, right? Like when we go in the primary classes, our teachers used to generally show that in a book that A is for apple, and they used to show us a figure of an apple, right? The reason is because our brain is more receptive to the visuals, we easily understand that A means an apple or an apple means an A. So you should have good images in your lesson plan. जैसे मैंने भी अभी आपको एक image दिखाई. I showed you that image of machine learning, AI, deep learning, generative AI, so that you can understand easily the difference between four of us. I could have just make a text also of that, which may not be that appealing, right? So this is a wonderful AI application where from the text you input, you can generate images, right? Because it has a big repository of images. The only thing we need to learn is what is the text for which you want the image. And a small variation in the text, I tell you, right, will create a lot of difference in the quality of the image. That is what has been my learning when I use this tool. I saw just changing a text, just tweaking the text here and there, right, created a lot of impact on the quality of the images that were generated. And this is one of the important things which I would, as an experience, share with all of you, right? Why the text which you input is important. And that is where, before you use the AI tool, you should learn something about prompt engineering. Prompt engineering means you should learn what is the text to be inputted, right? What are the rules to input a text to generate the image? And that is where you talk of something which is known as prompt engineering. The third tool is what we call it as QReport, right? This website enables teachers to create interactive lessons in minutes. As I said, most of my tools are towards the lesson plans because that is what my topic is. Students can explore various topics, and the AI functionality helps generate customized lessons tailored to their learning needs. even the lesson plan changes with the way the student responds, right? If you feel that your students are not responding, then you can put this as a prompt engineering, and then you can change the lesson plan. That is so dynamic. Teachers simply type in a topic, and a ready-to-run lesson is generated with text, images, and activities. Activities means some opinion poll, some open-ended responses, word cloud, which I'll show you, right? And these are even activities to build in that. So you can use a query pod to generate lesson plans, and these lessons plans include text, images, right? Questions, which could be multiple choice questions or even questions with open-ended responses. Then you can do a natural language processing on the open-ended responses to gather how well the students have understood the lesson. And this is what I'll show you how to do that natural language processing, right, in an open source like. Once you understand that concept, you can use any AI tool for natural language processing because you understand the kind of input which needs to be given. The fourth one is eduate.ai. This is an AI assisted lesson development tool that provides educators with more than 100 resource types to choose from to create high quality instruction material. It offers the ability to translate the generated content into more than 15 languages. Right? This is the beauty, that you can convert that content into 15 regional languages also. Educators can generate a syllabus, create discussion prompts, use the teaching assistant for help with creating individualized education program plans, write emails, or even compile a list of accommodations for students. EduAid.ai has a content generate teaching assistant, feedback bot, free-form chat, and an assessment builder. You can even assess your students on that particular lesson, right? So this is also a wonderful AI tool for teachers, right, which can help you in generating the lesson plan, teaching the lesson, and then even assessing on that particular lesson. The next one is what we call it as, all of you have heard, OpenAI. And the most important product of OpenAI is ChatGPT. Right. Most of the resource persons must have talked about this ChatGPT. I'll not go too much into that. Right. The guide comes from severally suggested prompts and includes explanations that clarify exactly how ChatGPT works. So you can use this teaching with AI guide. This is from the OpenAI, and this will explain you a lot of concepts how actually you can use ChatGPT. Right? It's a wonderful documentation, and it provides reminders of the importance of verifying information and checking for bias. With ChatGPT 4, which is a paid version, there is greater accuracy and reliability of information than the original. So initial versions of ChatGPT were free, but they were not that uh, good. And with ChatGPT 4 coming and later on, right now we have a paid version which gives you more accuracy and there is more reliability of information compared to the free version. So I'll suggest all of you, it's not very expensive. If you are really interested, then use the paid version of ChatGPT 4 to get something meaningful out of it. Now, next is the quiz, QUIZIZZ. Right. With quiz, teachers can design quizzes that will create a personalized learning path based on the students' responses. अब इसकी ब्यूटी क्या है? These quizzes are not fixed for every student, right? You initially start with a question which may be the same for everybody, and then the way the student responses, the failing questions will keep on changing, right? That is the beauty of this AI application, right? So gone are the days where every student has the same question paper, right? Based on the response of the student, you can change the complexity level of that question paper using this wonderful application quiz. Teachers can also create lessons with quiz, which now has an AI enhancement that can adjust questions difficulty, check grammar, and redesign questions to reflect the real world scenarios with more features. So I have found this application to be very good, right? जब आप कोई lesson, once you have made the lesson, right, then what you can do is you can create a quiz, right? And once you float this quiz between the students based on the response of the students, the questions will keep on changing. The questions will keep on changing, right? And then based on how has been the response of the students, you can get an assessment of the student. So the sixth application is what we call it as quiz. The seventh one is slide scope. Right. So one thing was left was to create a presentation. Right. So this tool provides access to free templates via Google Slides and now has the AI presentation marker. With this new functionality, presentations can be created within minutes. You just need to choose a topic, select a background, the level of the presentation, and then you can download the presentation once it is created. तो आपका लेसन प्लान बन गया, आपका क्विज बन गया और आपका प्रेजेंटेशन भी बन गया. And the same procedure you can repeat for every lesson which you intend to teach to your student. So these bundle of 7 tools will be a good bundle for all the educators and for all the teachers, I think so. Out of so many available, I have tried to mention the ones which are good, right, and which all of you can use because these are tried and tested. Anything anybody would like to ask? किसी को कोई भी चीज as far as the concepts are concerned? Anything anybody would like to ask out of whatever I've spoken for in these 40 minutes, just to make my thing more clear and more effective to all of you. Any doubts which you have, which you would like to ask? Have you all, though this presentation may be shared, but then all of you please, I'll just go through once again. Just make a note of these. I've spent time finding it for all of you, right? The first one is the audio pen, right? And you can write, it is a voice to text. The second one is the Canva Magic Write. This is text to image, right? So the second wonderful tool is the Canva Magic Write, which is from text to image. The third one is a Curie Pod, right, which helps you create uh, interactive lesson plans. The fourth one is eduai.ai, right? It is very good in creating instructional material and has the ability to convert your material into 15 languages. You can see it supports most of the languages now, Indian regional languages, right? And it is the only application which supports a lot of Indian regional languages. So you can convert it into other languages also. Then you have ChatGPT, which everybody knows, and you should be using ChatGPT 4 or later version because it will give you more accurate and reliable information. You can generate your quizzes so that you can assess the students, and the questions in the quiz are dynamic. The questions keep on changing depending upon how the student have been answering the questions. And the seventh one is for creating a professional presentation of your lesson, you can use this wonderful application which is known as SlideScope. Now, next we come to the prompt engineering, right? Prompt engineering is the process of providing detailed instructions to generative artificial intelligence to produce the desired output. Everybody talks of ChatGPT, but nobody talks of what to enter in ChatGPT, and that is what is known as prompt engineering. So, try to understand the prompt engineering, right, which is the process of providing detailed instructions to the generative artificial intelligence. How to structure the prompts to get better AI output, right? Whatever ChatGPT is generating is because of what you are entering. What is the input which you are giving, right? So everybody will get a different output, right? And now the quality of the output matters a lot. So the big thing is not to use ChatGPT. The big thing is, have you achieved something good from ChatGPT or not? क्योंकि ChatGPT में तो there is lot of data which is there, right? That is the beauty of any machine learning algorithm, right? Every machine learning algorithm has some kind of a data bank, and what you get from the data bank depends highly on the prompts which you get. How to use prompts for lesson planning, administrative tasks, personalized learning, and other classroom applications. तो आप कैसे prompt engineering को use करोगे for making a good lesson plan? Everybody can make a lesson plan. We have been doing it for ages. But then how good, how smartly you can make a lesson plan which is interesting is based on the kind of prompt you give in ChatGPT. Right? Everybody has access to ChatGPT, but then people are still not able to generate some quality lesson plans. Prompt engineering is important because generative AI needs detailed instructions. मैंने आपको उस फिगर में दिखाया था, the smallest subset is generative AI, and that generative AI will only convert into deep learning, which will convert into machine learning, and then it will convert into AI. So you need good prompt engineering. Even though generative AI tries to mimic humans, it requires specific instructions to provide high quality outputs. So the first thing you need to remember is needs detailed instructions. Don't give this instructions which are vague. Right? Just ऊपर ऊपर का देने से काम नहीं चलेगा. Right? Most of the people think everything is magic. No, nothing is magic. Right? Whatever you get is based on the hard work which you have done as far as prompt engineering is concerned. Carefully crafted prompts helps AI system understand the conceptual, interpret data, and provide precise insights. So you need to understand that your prompt should be very carefully crafted. And later on, in the newer versions of ChatGPT, like आपके पास में data packs होते हैं 1.5 GB. Similarly, now there is a limitation on the number of prompts which you can give. It's not that you can give indefinite prompts. So you have to be very careful, right? You don't waste your prompts. Otherwise, your ChatGPT will become very costly for you. Prompt engineering helps organizations make better decisions. Prompt engineering helps organizations extract actionable intelligence from large amounts of data. So if you want some, in our case, if it is not an organization, it could be a classroom. So if you want some good decisions to be taken about the students in that classroom, that is where prompt engineering will help you. Prompt engineering helps users understand the AI capability. Skills help users better understand the capabilities and limitations of the large language models. Right. So this is these are some of the strategies for prompt engineering. I have tried to write down a few through my experience which I have gained. Set clear goals and objectives. Right. That means what is the goal of your lesson plan? and what is the objective which you need to resolve using this particular lesson. Use action verbs to specify the desired action and define the desired length and format of the output. जो आपको output चाहिए वो कितना बड़ा होना चाहिए, right? And what should be the format? You want it as a txt file, you want it as a csv file, you want it as an mdb file, right? That should be very clear, which most of us don't give, right? So you use verbs to specify the desired action and define the desired length and format of the output. Otherwise, it will take whatever it wants. Provide context and background information. Include relevant facts and data and reference specific sources or documents. So if you are doing some kind of research, then you also specify similar researches which you have seen. That also you can specify in ChatGPT. So include relevant facts and data and reference specific sources or documents. That is the way ChatGPT is different from Google, right? Use few short prompting. Provide a few examples of desired input-output pairs. थोड़े से आप input-output pairs भी दो, right? As an input. That will also improve the quality of the output. Be specific. Use precise language and avoid ambiguity. Quantify your requests whenever possible. Right? So don't be ambiguous नहीं होना है, right? And the language should not be vague. The more vague is your language, you will be deviating from the lesson plan. Be clear and specific. Clarity and specificity in prompts guide the AI to understand exactly what is required. तो अगर आपका voice to text है, your voice should be clear and your voice should be to the point. And if it is a text to image, your text should be clear, right, and to the point. So these are a few points which will help you to get a good output, a good lesson plan with any AI tool which you are basically using. So I'll just go through this. Set clear goals and objective. Provide context and background information. Include, use few short prompting. Be specific. Be clear and specific. Now, the next one is, so this is what actually this prompt engineering is about. Teachers equipped with AI tools can identify and address learning gaps more effectively, contributing to a more equitable educational experience for all the students. The push towards AI-informed pedagogy necessitates ongoing professional development, ensuring educators are well versed in emerging technologies. Now, these are some of the companies जिनके आप प्रोडक्ट्स अपने टीचिंग पेडागॉजी में यूज कर सकते हो. ओपन एआई, अल्फाबेट, आईबीएम, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, जितने भी प्रोडक्ट्स आपको अलग अलग लोग अलग अलग सेशन से बता रहे हैं, दे आर कमिंग फ्रॉम दीज टॉप एआई कंपनीज, राइट? ओपन एआई, अल्फाबेट, आईबीएम, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट. The idea to show you this list is you can search each one of them and see what kind of an AI product they are offering as far as teaching pedagogy is concerned and generating a lesson plan. NVIDIA, Meta, Amazon, Anthropic, Tesla, Adobe, Apple, Hugging Face, Intel, Cohere, and Mistral AI. Right? आप इनमें को सर्च कर सकते हो just to get a idea of the top companies. Right? So this was the first part of my delivery where I told you the difference between generative AI, then machine learning, and AI and your neural networks, right? Or deep learning. And then I told you the 7 tools which I have worked on and found to be useful as far as generating a lesson plan is concerned. Name a few of the companies which you can search for getting an AI product. Then what is prompt engineering, and how can you how can you ensure that your prompt is good enough to generate a good quality lesson plan. So this was the first part which I wanted to tell you, right, as far as this teaching pedagogy is basically concerned. Hopefully आप लोगों ने tools के नाम लिख लिए हैं. All of you please try. In case you will get my detail as a resource person. अगर इनमें से किसी भी tool को use करने में anybody has any issues, let me know, right? I'll try to clear your doubts so that you can use these tools to make a good lesson plan as far as your this is concerned. Now, next we come to what we call it as most important for a teacher is the natural language processing, right? So let me go through this now. Now, this natural language processing is very, very important for teachers, right? There are two kinds of data actually which we get. Maybe you must have all been knowing. One is a quantitative data, which is basically in numbers, right? Like, how was the quality of this session by me? And you can make a Likert scale. The session was extremely useful, right? And then you can say strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree, right? And then each one of you can you can select one of the answers, and then using these answers, we can find out how effective this particular session was. This is a Likert scale data, right? And this data can then be some statistics can be done on this data to get an idea how was the quality of the session. The second is I ask you to put in words how was the quality of the session, and you write maybe a paragraph of 50-60 words describing the quality of the session, right? That is what is a textual data. And from this textual data which all of you submit, we can do a natural language processing to identify how effective was the session. This is what all of you should also do, right? And take a feedback of the students as far as a particular lesson is concerned. Instead of putting it on a quantitative scale, you put it on a qualitative, open-ended textual data, because that will give you much more information compared to getting an input based on a Likert scale. And that is why I thought, let me go through this natural language processing. As a teacher, the most important AI tool to understand how well my session has had an impact on the students is to do something which is known as natural language processing. Natural language processing is defined as the branch of artificial intelligence that provides computers with the capability of understanding text and spoken words in the same way a human being can. This is the ultimate level of AI, right? Where we are trying to get some information from the text which the students have submitted as a part of my delivery on a particular lesson. It incorporates machine learning models, right? अब naturally यहाँ भी machine learning models हैं, statistics and deep learning models into computational linguistics. That is rule-based modeling of human language to allow computers to understand text, spoken words, and understand human language's intent and sentiment. What has been the sentiment of the students as far as this particular lesson was concerned? Most I've seen, right? Whenever I have a delivery, I've seen in most of the Western countries now, right? After each delivery, students are asked to give their sentiments on the delivery or on that particular lesson, which it takes hardly 2 minutes for them to give. They can either speak, which is recorded as as a voice message, right, or they can write it as a text image. And then the data which is collected from all these students, which is either a voice or a text message, is then processed using this concept of natural language processing, and the teacher himself understands how good his delivery was. This is what all of us should also do, as after every lesson, we should try to get into an habit of collecting this information. It's very easy. People can submit it either a voice message from their WhatsApp or a text image. You just need to compile all this and do a natural language processing and understand how well or how are the sentiments of the students as far as a particular teacher or as a particular lesson is basically concerned. This is what is the best use of AI, right? Otherwise, it's difficult to do this. Now, with the kind of hardware machines which we have, right, it is good that we are able to implement NLP, right? Humans communicate with each other using words and text. The way that humans convey information to each other is called the natural language. Everyday humans share a large quantity of information with each other in various languages as speech or text. That is what I was saying. It could be either speech or text, or even it could be through images also, right? So that is what also we can do. Later on, we can see how we process the images also. But once you do all this, your quality of teaching will also improve. You have a better interaction with the students, and you also try to understand how well you are making a bond with your students. And this is what is happening now in most of the Western universities as part of the feedback. However, computers cannot interpret this data. आप सबको पता होगा, because which is in the natural language as they communicate in ones and zeros. Right? आप सबको पता होगा, at the root level of a computer, you have only two things, either it is a 1 and 0. But here we are talking about text. The data produced is precious and can offer valuable insights. Hence, you need computers to be able to understand, emulate, and respond intelligently to human speech. As I said, this is the most advanced form of AI, nothing beyond it, right? Because you are trying to make a computer understand the speech and text of the data collected through all the students in your class, and then you do an analysis and finally get an understanding how well the students have understood the lesson. Natural language processing refers to the branch of artificial intelligence that gives the machines to ability to read, understand, and derive meaning from the human languages. Now, this is very complex, as I said. The basic complexity is because of you are speaking as a text or a voice, and the computer understands only zeros and ones. So there is a very big gap, and that gap is generally filled through this AI. And that is why you are getting some information from the data which you are submitting. NLP combines the field of linguistics and computer science to decipher language structure and guidelines and to make models which can comprehend, break down, and separate significant details from text and speech. So NLP is a intersection of computer science, AI, and the human language. Right. I'm not saying that you start writing the code. I'm not saying that. Right. But you try to understand how that particular AI is working so that the results which you get are meaningful. That is what I'm trying to say. Right. आपको एनएल जैसे मैंने सेशन के बिगिनिंग में भी कहा था, आपको एनएलपी का कोड नहीं लिखना है, राइट? बट एटलीस्ट यू शुड नो what is AI doing for you, which is generating the output. Unless until you have the connect with that, you won't be able to customize that AI product according to your need, the need of your institution. That is what I'm trying to say, right? And unless until you do that, the results may not be that much meaningful. So NLP is basically an intersection of computer science, AI, and the human language. Now, these are the different phases of NLP, right? Lexical analysis, I'll tell you a brief on this, and then we'll take up an example. Lexical analysis, syntactic analysis, semantic analysis, discourse integration, and pragmatic analysis. ये कुछ आपको बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाना है, but these are some of the things which are happening at the back end of NLP in any AI model. Everybody speaks about the AI model, but nobody tells you what is actually happening inside the AI. वो जानना जरूरी है, right? So that you can customize that AI model based on the requirements of your institution or based on the quality of the students which you admit in your institution. Now, the first one is just a very brief on what is actually lexical analysis. The first phase is the lexical analysis or the morphological processing. In this phase, the sentences and the paragraphs are broken into tokens. Tokens का मतलब है, like, to begin with, alphabets. Alphabets into a word. Word into a sentence. Sentence into a paragraph. And a paragraph into a page. And a page into a document. And then many documents into a bibliography analysis. This is the way things move, right? These tokens are the smallest units of text. It scans the entire source of text and divides it into meaningful lengths. For example, the sentence "he goes to college" is divided into 4 words: he goes to college and the full stop. Right? Anybody, what is the full stop? Any idea? Any idea कि full stop क्या होता है? What is the full stop? Is it meaningful or not? Right? That is basically a stop word. Right? और इसका ये बस हमको एक ये बताता है कि सेंटेंस खत्म हो रहा है. The sentence is finishing, but it is not important to give you any information. Right? So we'll have to see how to remove these stop words from the data which the different students have given. So the first one is a lexical analysis, right? So the whole text is broken into different words. This is what is lexical analysis, और यहाँ से NLP होना start होती है. The second phase is the syntactic analysis. In this phase, the sentence is checked whether it is a well-formed or not. Well-formed का मतलब है कि वो लैंग्वेज के हिसाब से सही है कि नहीं है. The word arrangement is studied and a syntactic relationship is found between them. Grammar and arrangement. For example, the sentence "Delhi goes to him" is rejected in LLP because you don't get to understand what do you mean by Delhi goes to him. Right? That is what AI is doing. Right? लेकिन जो आप AI का टूल यूज कर रहे हो उसमें ये फिक्स्ड है. Right? Maybe your data is not from Delhi. Your data is from maybe Mumbai. Right? So you'll have to change Delhi to Mumbai. Otherwise, there is absolutely no use of using that particular application. बहुत से लोग कहेंगे, then sir, what is the beauty of AI? Right? But then this is what you need to understand. Right? AI doesn't mean magic. That is what I've been saying. Right? Magic limited to some constraints. And you need to understand that those constraints, right? जैसे आप लोगों ने linear programming पढ़ी होगी, right? In the world, everything is linear programming, right? You cannot do anything without any constraints. The constraint is that you have to submit this paper in 1 hour. You cannot keep on doing that, right? So similarly, you need to understand what are the constraints of AI. Have you taken care of those constraints, or you are just running it blindly, right? So the second is a syntactic analysis. The third is a semantic analysis. In this phase, the sentence is checked for the literal meaning of each word and their arrangement. For example, the sentence "I ate hot ice cream" will get rejected because ice cream can never be hot. Right? Ice cream कभी गर्म नहीं हो सकती. Right? So, example, colorless green idea. How can two things go together? That your idea is green also and colorless. That doesn't make any sense, right? So that is what is the semantic analysis which goes in the back of any AI tool, right? तो आपको देखना चाहिए उस AI tool में semantic analysis हो भी रही है कि नहीं हो रही है. सबका literature available है, right? अगर उस AI tool का semantic analysis नहीं हो रही है, then what is good you have used? So the 7 tools which I have told you, I have taken everything in mind, and then only I have shared with all of you that it gives you good results. Like I am explaining you this NLP or natural language processing. Then the next one is the discourse integration. The fourth phase is discourse integration. In this phase, the impact of the sentences before a particular sentence and the effect of the current statement sentence on the upcoming is determined. For example, the word that in the sentence he wanted that depends upon the prior discourse. मतलब इस सेंटेंस के पहले क्या हो रहा है वो जरूरी है, राइट? क्योंकि वो वर्ड यूज कर रहा है, वो स्टेटमेंट यूज कर रहा है, he wanted that. So what is that? So something must have been done prior to this sentence, then only the word that will have some meaning. This is what is known as a discourse integration, one of the important things which happens in NLP. Then is the pragmatic analysis. The last phase of natural language processing is the pragmatic analysis. Sometimes the discourse integration phase and pragmatic analysis phase are combined. The actual effect of the text is discovered by applying the set of rules that characterize cooperative dialogue. Example, close the window should be interpreted as a request instead of an order. Right? This is what is pragmatic analysis. Right? Close the window means you are not giving an order. Right? It should be as a request. Right? So these are some of the things which an AI tool in NLP does. Right? Now, how is NLP implemented? The reason why I have taken NLP is because this is the closest thing which every teacher should do. Right? And that is what is the concept of natural language processing. तो मेरा आइडिया ये था कि I tell you something about the natural language processing before you use any AI tool for natural language processing, and you become a little more careful whether that tool incorporates all these things which are required. Right? Most of the free tools will not. That I can guarantee all of you. Right? Maybe there is no pragmatic analysis in that. अगर आप उसका literature ध्यान से पढ़ोगे, right, then you will understand whether these different analyses are a part, क्योंकि उनको भी एक disclosure देना पड़ता है, right? So pragmatic discourse, maybe the discourse is not doing. So if discourse is not doing, again, I don't think there is any good analysis of NLP that particular AI tool is doing. So a lot of people tell you a lot of AI tools, but you need to understand, is that AI tool really giving you something useful? And that is what I'm trying to tell you using one concept which is known as natural language processing. Something very close to the profession of teaching. Now, how do you implement NLP? Now, these are the popular methods used for natural language processing. Now, this is a textual data I show you, which I have. Now, this is a data which is collected from a group of students working on a particular project. And this data we are trying to understand, have the students understood the project? Have the students working in synergy to give the desired output for that particular project? All this you can understand. This is this is the input text which the students of that group has submitted. Right? So we can do an NLP on this and then try to understand, is the project clear to the students, and are the students really inclined in working on that particular project? I'm just giving you one example, right? And then you can collect a similar documentation from each of the groups which you have in the class, and then see whether the explanation of the project given by the teacher has been clearly understood, and whether the groups which you have formed is correct or not. All that information you can get once you do an NLP on this kind of a data which is correct. This is an example of a unstructured data. This is an example of a unstructured data which most of the teaching fraternity gets. As a teacher, you will never get a quantitative data, right? So you have to use an AI tool which incorporates the concept of natural language processing. I'll just read out. We are a fun team that works well together and is constantly learning together. We are small, which allows us to move quickly and have a process with very little overheads. With very little overheads. We have a sound and collaborative team focused on delivery under the current vision and scope for the learning. As the vision and scope evolves, we work well as a team, we have fun together, and I think we are very healthy. So इस type से the complete input has been given by the team members, right? This could be running into 50 words, 500 words, or 5,000 words. That is not a limitation, right? Because you are not processing it manually. आप उसको manually तो process नहीं कर रहे हो, so the size of the document hardly matters. I'm just trying to show you this is one kind of input which is collected. This input can be collected on a text document, even on a WhatsApp message, or even on a WhatsApp speech also. And then you can use one of the tools which I have shown you to convert that speech into a text. Because for doing NLP, a text document is required. The input cannot be a speech, the input cannot be a image. For that, something else is there. If that is the kind of input you have. Okay. Now, these are the methods. First is the machine learning. The learning NLP procedures used during machine learning, it automatically focuses on the most common cases. So when we write rules by hand, it is often not correct at all concerned about human errors. Then we have the statistical inference. NLP can make use of statistical inference algorithms. It helps you to produce models that are robust, example containing words or structures which are known to everyone. Now this is the way the NLP performs. Segmentation, tokenizing, removing stop words, stemming, लेमेंटाइजिंग, पार्ट ऑफ स्पीच टैगिंग, नेम एंटिटी टैगिंग. मतलब इस तरीके से ये बेसिकली एनएलपी परफॉर्म होता है. इतना डिटेल में आपको बेसिकली नहीं जाना है. नाउ आई विल शो यू हाउ यू कैन डू at your end, right? And even you don't have an AI tool available, or you don't know how to use that AI tool, right? Then also, how can you do it? Simply using an open source, right? Now for that you need something which all of us are can freely download from the net, right? एक मिनट में ओपन कर लूं. So you can just write down there's something known as an open source R. तो आप लोग लिख लीजिए download this R. Download R, right? It's a very easy way to do this natural language processing, right? Without going into the hassles of a product, right? Once you do this, you can get this download R, right? You click on this download R and you can download this particular application, download R 4.5.1 for Windows. You have it for Windows, Linux and even the Mac platform, right? आप इस एप्लीकेशन को डाउनलोड कर लीजिए, right? और It is a simple application of 86 megabytes, right? And it will take hardly a minute to download. जब इसकी फाइल डाउनलोड हो जाए तो आप इसको इंस्टॉल कर दीजिए। जब आप इसको इंस्टॉल कर लोगे तो आपको अपने आर में यहाँ पर एक आर मिल जाएगा। लाइक आई हैव आर 4.2.3, यू विल गेट आर 4.5.1, राइट। बस आप सिंपली इसको क्लिक करिए, राइट। जब आप इसको क्लिक करोगे तो आपको ये प्रॉम्प्ट मिल जाएगा। Now, on this prompt, you can write the code to do the natural language processing. I will share this code with all of you, right? You just need to copy paste this code, but you should know what exactly the code is doing. बस आपको इतना पता होना चाहिए. You don't need to remember the code, right? And this code is also available on the ChatGPT, right? So either you can use my code or you can use the code which is available on the ChatGPT. अब जब ये prompt आ जाए, this is absolutely free of cost, right? Even if you use a free AI tool, it will not give you this quality of output, I tell you, right? Then after, it will say you that your text document, like जैसे आप बहुत बार image को download करते हो और वो कहता है कि 1 MB से ज़्यादा की image है, right? Similarly यहाँ भी होगा, बहुत से many people will tell you lot of AI tools, but then all those AI tools have some kind of a limitation which is inbuilt. Here, one of the limitations can be that your document size is more than 1 MB. So your purpose is defeated, right? So you will get this prompt, right? And then what you need to do is, आप note down कर लो, you will have to load down a few. This is the text document which I am using, right? ये text document है जिसके ऊपर हम NLP कर रहे हैं, and we want to know how well the students have understood the lesson, right? And whether the students in the class have a synergy between them, right? Or should I change the students in the class, right? Similar questions can be answered once you do this NLP on this kind of a feedback which I have got from the students, right? ये एक feedback है students का एक class में, right? So you can do this. You need to install a few packages, right? And this installation of these packages has to be done only once, right? So one package is known as TM, right? The second TM means text mining, right? अब इस package को क्यों use करते हैं? Because it is used for removing numbers, special characters, punctuation, and stop words, right? Yeah, they don't do anything, right? They don't add to the quality of the output. Stop words in any language are the most commonly occurring words that have very little value for NLP. और इंग्लिश के स्टॉप वर्ड्स हैं द, इज, आर, इनका कोई मतलब नहीं है, तो इनको भी हमको हटाना पड़ेगा, राइट? अब आप कोई एआई का टूल यूज कर रहे हो, यू डोंट नो व्हाट आर द स्टॉप वर्ड्स व्हिच दैट एआई टूल हैज, राइट? Either you find it out, right? And if those are not sufficient, you have to add the remaining stop words. और अगर आप उस टूल को ऐसे ही रन कर दोगे तो आपको कोई मीनिंगफुल रिजल्ट नहीं मिलेगा. This is what is actually happening, right? So many people talking of so many AI tools, right? But what actually are the limitations which nobody tells, right? That is what I am telling you. So English के जो stop words हैं वो हैं the, is, are and all that, right? So this is the library which will handle these stop words, right? And it will take care of removing the numbers, special characters. Special character आप लोगों को पता ही होंगे, at the rate, exclamation, full stop, right? Punctuations, right? The second library is known as Snowball C, which is used for stemming, right? I think all of you know what stemming is. Stemming का मतलब होता है हर वर्ड को अपने रूट वर्ड में रिड्यूस करना. Like you have a word like fishing, fished, fisher. The stem word is fish. So what it will do is कि जितनी जगहों पे in the document you have fishing, fisher, fished, it will all get reduced to the stem word fish, and then only some meaningful information can be obtained. ये सब काम ये अपने आप करेगा, आपको कुछ भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है. The only thing you should know is the process, right? You don't have to do anything manually, right? Then it will generate a word cloud, right? Which is a wonderful presentation of the learning or trying to understand the progress of the class for that particular lesson plan. Then we have an R color brewer, a Syset, and a ggplot2 library. So all in all, we need to install TM, Snowball C, Word Cloud, R color brewer, Syset, and ggplot2. Right? Installing each of these libraries takes only a minute to install. Right? तो आपको और ये installation भी आपको खाली एक ही बार करना होता है. So how do you do this? You just have to write this over here. Install.package is tm and it will install the package. Right? आप जैसे इसको लिख के एंटर करोगे, अपने आप ये पैकेज आपका आपके लैपटॉप पे इंस्टॉल हो जाएगा. Right? Similarly, you can install the remaining packages: Snowball C, Word Cloud, R Color Brewer, Syset, and ggplot. Right? Simple. Right? But now everything is in your control. You know what you are actually trying to do, right? You are just not using anything which is given free to you to use, क्योंकि आपको पता ही नहीं है अंदर क्या हो रहा है. जैसे you order a food and the food comes from inside and you start eating it. You don't know how old was the ingredients, right? Similarly, if you use an AI tool, you don't know whether that AI tool is actually uh, benefiting you or not. And if you do this way, everything is in your hand, right? Now, once the packages are installed, you just need to load them like you load a particular application in your mobile phone. आप पहले प्ले स्टोर से इंस्टॉल करते हो और फिर उस पर जब हैंड से फिंगर से क्लिक करते हो तो वो लोड हो जाता है लाइब्रेरी में. So you just have to write library tm, right? So that particular package is now available for you to use in your laptop. तो दो चीजें हैं. First, you need to install it, and the second is you need to load it in the current. Very similar to the way you install a particular application from the Play Store and then you click it to use it. Now, next is you need to read this data in right. So we'll have to read this data inside this. So you can write text, read lines, and file dot choose. Right. As I said, all this text is, all this code is available on the chat GPT. लेकिन इस कोड का मतलब ये है कि आपके पास में वो टेक्स्ट डॉक्यूमेंट होना चाहिए जो आपने स्टूडेंट से कलेक्ट करा है, right? And in which the students have written down how well they have understood the lesson plan and how well the students itself are working as a team of that particular class, right? So the moment you write this code, right, it will ask you to select that document, and this is the document which is the feedback of the students which you can select, and this document is already present in your laptop, right? Now next is you need to convert this into something which is known as a corpus. Corpus वो चीज होती है जो computer understand करता है, right? Computer doesn't understand the file. Computer understands something which is known as a corpus, right? So the moment you execute this code, this will get converted into a corpus, right? For doing NLP. और आप ऐसे समझ सकते हो, corpus is a format in which you can run NLP. That way you can understand, right? So the moment you run this code, which is available on ChatGPT, right, your text document will be converted into the corpus. Now, once the corpus is there, we now have to do a lot of things. The first one is that we need to remove these special characters जिनका कोई मतलब नहीं है, like slash, @ right, और right, इनको सब हटाना पड़ेगा, right? तो अब आपके कंट्रोल में ये है, क्योंकि हो सकता है जो आप the built-in AI application which you are using may not be removing all these things, right? So you can ask to remove all this by first creating a space and then you remove the spaces, right? The next step is to remove the unnecessary white spaces and convert the text to lowercase. Right? आपको सबको पता होगा कि the upper and the lower are different because they have a different ASCII code. Right? American Standard Characterization for Information and Interchange. तो आपको सारे टेक्स्ट को लोअर केस में कन्वर्ट करना पड़ेगा so that capital C and small c means the same thing. Right? So first thing you need to do is to replace the special characters with a space, right? And then to remove the spaces. The second thing you need to do is to convert the entire text to lowercase so that there is no differentiation between capital C and lower c. Then you need to remove the stop words, right? And English के जो common stop words हैं वो क्या हैं? The, is, at, on, and so on, right? Because they don't add to the output, right? So this tool will remove these stop words automatically. आपको कुछ भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको लेकिन ये बताना पड़ेगा कि मुझे ये stop words हटाने हैं, right? Most of the people using AI applications don't know that you need to remove these stop words. That is the biggest problem, right? They just use the AI tool blindly, right? And you have these stop words are different whether it is English, French, German, Italian, Spanish. So you'll also have to tell which language you are speaking. तो आपने देखा होगा बहुत बार कि जब आप कोई एप्लीकेशन इंस्टॉल करते हैं they ask you the default language, right? That is the reason, right? So we have to take care of these stop words, right? Then we have to remove the numbers and punctuations. इनका भी कोई मतलब नहीं होता, right? तो अब आप देख रहे हो कितनी चीजें आपको करनी पड़ेंगी, right? And why I am trying to repeatedly say, do not use the AI tool blindly. Keep everything in your control by using this particular application and this particular kind of a code. The last step is known as the stemming, right? It is the process of reducing the word to its root form, right? जैसे मैंने कहा, all the words like fishing, fished, fisher, the stem word is fish. So I need to replace all these words with their stem word, which is fish. And this is done by this AI tool, which is known as Snowball C. आपको नहीं करना है, but you need to tell that you have to do this, right? So you have to do this process of stemming, right? And this is taken care by this wonderful AI Snowball C, which you have already installed, right? Now you need, now this is the code. First, to remove this /2 space, then at the rate 2 space, then \2 space. तो जितने भी ये हमारे पास में special characters थे, I have reduced it to a space. Then I have converted all the text into lower, right? So the text type. Next is I have removed all the numbers, right? Then I have done the stop words, right? जितने भी stop words थे उनको मैंने remove कर दिया. And the language is English. If you have any other language, you replace it with that particular language. It has for every language. You talk of any Indian regional language, you can use. That is the beauty, right? That is why it is open-ended, right? It's not like fixed to only using English, right? Then after removing this, we remove the punctuations, right? And then whatever white spaces were created, I remove this white spaces. Then I stem my documents. Stem my documents means कि जितने भी हमारे ये words हैं, right? Fishing, fisher, I have reduced it to the word fish so that it is meaningful. अब इतना करने के बाद में next you create a term document matrix, right? Again, you don't have to do it. The AI tool will do it for you because that code is inbuilt inside it. I'm just trying to tell you that it will convert it into a term document matrix. कुछ words आपको मालूम पड़ जाएंगे, right? Now, once this is done, you can create a word cloud, right? Let me show you this. मैं कोशिश करता हूँ आपको दिखाने की भी. Okay, I'll show you. Anything to ask, please let me know. I just wanted to show you a word cloud. Now this is the word cloud. I'll just show you a word cloud which gets generated. See, this is a word cloud. Can you see, all of you? This is a word cloud which it will generate. The bigger is this is generated automatically. The bigger is the size of the word, right? The more is the impact, right? अब देखिए आपको यहाँ पे जो सबसे बड़ा वर्ड दिख रहा है visualize, right? Insights, data, generate, right? मतलब जितना word, the bigger is the size of the word, that is the thing which is coming out from the data. That is the thing which is coming out from the data, right? So if it is saying you good explanation, that means the teacher has explained very good the concepts in the lesson plan. That is what I'm trying to say. So a word cloud will give you a very good idea of what has been the impact of teaching of that particular lesson by the students, right? And this is the word cloud which it generates. In this particular data, let me see. If I can open. Yeah, this is what all I did. Now, if you see, this was the frequency. The word good came 124 times. The work word came 119 times. Right? That means what? The class was good, because that word good is coming 124 times. Right? Work means the explanation by the teacher was good, right? Because it is coming 119 times, right? So what I'm trying to say is, when once you see this word count, right, you will get an idea. Now instead of suppose good, it was something like bad, right? Then you can get an interpretation that the teaching was not that good, right? That kind of an output. And इसी चीज को if we put it graphically, then this is what is known as a word cloud. This is known as a word cloud. जो frequency निकल के आती है, the frequency which comes out, if you put it as a plot, that is what is known as a word cloud, right? So this is a wonderful process to understand how effective was the lesson plan, right? So instead of taking a quantitative data on a which most of the workshops do, right? Maybe this workshop, maybe at the end you will be given a feedback form on a Likert scale, right? Because that is easy to do it. But then in real life, as a teacher, you try to collect a qualitative data in the form of a text. And then you use this natural language processing and try to see what has been the feedback of the students as far as your lesson was basically concerned. तो ये एक छोटा सा input है as far as your natural language processing is concerned, which I think is a wonderful tool, helpful for all the educators, teachers, instructors to get an idea how is the performance and how is the feedback of the students. And that is why I took this time, because in most of the universities outside, everybody is using natural language processing to understand the feedback of the students. We in India are still more using a Likert scale, but there is a research which clearly shows that uh, a text output, a text input is will give you much more meaningful information compared to quantitative data. Like most of the telecommunication companies like Airtel, Jio, they collect the feedback of their clients on a blog or on a call. When you get a call from their call centers, they record this either as a text or a voice, and then they do a natural language processing to understand how is the feedback of the customers of for a particular telecommunication company. They are not using anything on a quantitative data. They never ask you to give a feedback on a quantitative data, right? So this is the way all of us in the education industry can now switch to natural language processing and get an idea of how good this particular was. Lastly, I'll take up just in 10 minutes, I'll take up this concept of generative AI. Generative AI means now the prompt engineering, right? तो मैंने AI टच कर लिया, मैंने ML टच कर लिया थोड़ा, मैंने आपको डीप लर्निंग बता दिया, मैंने आपको generative AI बता दिया. Now I'll touch upon the latest concept is the concept of prompt engineering in education, right? So generative AI and the prompt engineering in education. This is a very good thing which I've seen. Again, it comes from a article published in a uh, Japanese journal, right? The development of generative AIs and the variability of their use are still at the level of research and active development simultaneously. The very reason I'm sharing with this with all of you that this could be also a research topic for the research scholars, right? In this study, we are exploring the potential applications of generative AI in education, such as personalized learning tools and AI-powered study resources. Now, this is what, as a teacher, we should develop in our domain, right? वैसे भी with you can see all that tariffs coming into place, right? We'll have to believe in ourselves, right? We'll have to develop everything indigenously because now things will be quite expensive to use. So we also delve into the critical role of improved educational outcomes. We identify the challenges and risks associated with integrating artificial intelligence technologies into the education environment, including data privacy, security issues, and the potential AI. Right. So generative AI is I'll just read out the important things, try to grab what I'm trying to say. It is an incredibly powerful technology that was popularized by ChatGPT, which was developed by OpenAI. As of now, ChatGPT has 1.43 billion users, right? ChatGPT is a product of deep learning, which is a subtype of machine learning. ये मैंने आपको दिखा दिया कि deep learning के अंदर deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of AI, and generative AI is a subset of deep learning. Learning that mirrors the human brains in learning and responding to data, information, and right. Google announced its own generative AI. Google का अपना generative AI है BART, right? Generative AI can be defined as a technology that uses deep learning models, generates human-like context, complex and varied prompts, right? Now, such groundbreaking techniques have contributed to the development of generative AI, such as generative adversarial networks (GANs), right? And now, the generative AI has the ability to not only trained on, which is very big difference from conventional AI, which typically relies on preformed responses. Key components of conversational AI include, now can you see all of you? That is why I was emphasizing so much on NLP. The key components of conversational AI is natural language processing, natural language understanding, and natural language generation. Right? AIs lack the ability to generate content. Right? Advanced AIs such as ChatGPT and Bard combine generative and conversational AI, making them much more attractive to general public. तो आपको ये समझ में आना चाहिए कि चैट जीपीटी क्यों इतना पावरफुल है और यूजफुल है, बिकॉज इट हैज द it has inbuilt into it natural language processing. और इसीलिए मैंने सेशन में I gave so much emphasis on this concept of natural language processing. So all these AI tools, if they are used, they should have this component of natural language processing inbuilt inside it, right? Now, generative AI in the education process. With the popularization of AI, a lot of research has begun to emerge on how AI can enhance the learning process by improving and optimizing both face-to-face learning and the online instruction. Right? और इसका आपको सबको पता है that online instructions became very, very useful during the pandemic of COVID-19. Right? So this is the importance of this natural language processing. Now, for good generative AI model, right, prompt engineering is the process of structuring text that can be interpreted and understood by the generative AI model. तो अभी मैंने आपको शुरुआत में I told you how what is exactly prompt engineering, right? To write good promos, the following strategies can be considered. Clarify the objective, ये मैं आपको बता चुका हूँ. Be direct and concise. Provide context. Provide examples. Specify the format. Refine, optimize and debug the prompts. Right? ये चीजें मैं आपको बता चुका हूँ जो आप यूज करेंगे. So generative AI has the significant potential to revolutionize the educational process by offering personalized learning experiences, improving assessments and optimizing the teaching methods, right? So ये सब चीजें हमको याद रखनी है so that all in all finally our teaching is effective. So this is all from my side, right? I'll just recap what I have covered. I started with the basic concepts of AI, machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI. Then I came to prompt engineering and I told why prompt engineering is important. Then I told you 7 good tools which you can use as a teacher point of view. The ones which I have used, not just I've seen, right? The ones which are really meaningful. And then I came to the most important concept of natural language processing, which is a very, very important thing to get feedback from the students continuously and why it should be an important part of any AI system. Now, anything anybody would like to ask or anything which they want from me, right? I'll be happy to share. Which other softwares can do this sentiment analysis, right? See, there are, I showed you that list. All those companies have some software, but the one which I told you, right, it is It doesn't have any limitations and it is absolutely free of cost. All the other applications to some limit will be available free, but then more than that, you'll have to pay. So the one which I told you is unlimited for any text of any size. Either you can use an open source with, I told you with R, you can also use Python, right? Or you can use, I'll just write this name, Google Colab. I'll just show you. On the net, you write Google Colab. This is Google Colab, right? So whatever I was trying to tell you, you can all do on this Google Colab, right? You just run this, right? Welcome to Colab. It's a wonderful AI application from Google, right? You don't have to download anything. This will open in the browser. I'll just show you. I'll just sign in from my account. You just say file and you say new notebook. And whatever code I was trying to give you, right? I was trying to show you. I'll share that complete code with all of you, right? You just need to open that particular code over here, bas yahan par, right? And then you just say run, right? That code will run and will generate the word cloud for all of you. That code you can get from ChatGPT also. I will share that exact code for all of you. You can just open this Google Colab and run this code over here, and it will do the natural language processing on the text which you have collected from your students. I'll share this link also with all of you. This is the link of Google Colab for doing NLP. I have pasted the slow chal raha hai. Yeah. So I put the code in the chat window. All of you can copy paste this code. Sorry, the link for opening this AI Google Colab. You don't need to install anything, right? It will open in the Chrome browser, and just you can copy paste the code which I'll share with all of you, and you can do an NLP on the document which you have collected. In case anybody needs anything more and you really want to improve your interaction with the students, right? Or you want to create a more better lesson plan and everything, please feel free to ask. Or maybe you can send a mail and I'll try to respond. You can create your MCQ automatically in Google Form. Yes, you can do that. And instead of creating MCQ now, you create now open-ended questions. That is a better way of evaluating the students, because in MCQ you limit the answers, right? You open it in your Google Drive. You open it in your Google Drive. The link which I have shared is for my Google Drive. In the end, you mention your Google Drive. You first log in into Gmail. You first log in into Google, and then just you write Google Colab and click on it. It will open. Even if you don't need this link also. Just log in into your Google and then you write Google Colab. I'll just put the link. Just hold on. The link which doesn't have my credentials. And please don't give MCQs now. Try to give open-ended questions. And then you can evaluate these open-ended questions using NLP. MCQ is not a good way of evaluation. The better way of evaluation is for open-ended questions. But people don't use it because they find it difficult to evaluate. Now with this NLP, it's very easy to evaluate an open-ended question. But the practice is always to evaluate a student on a the practice is always to evaluate students on open-ended questions. That is the real evaluation, I tell you. I come from a IIT background where the entire evaluation always is on open-ended questions. We never use MCQs to evaluate people, but people use it because they are marking or the evaluation process is easier. But now with NLP coming into picture, you can always evaluate the open-ended questions easily. So real evaluation, according to me, is using open-ended questions. I don't believe in these MCQs because you are limiting the IQ of an individual to a few options. Right. Someone, can you please share your... Right. So I think most of you have been able to, I just share the mail ID in case, because somebody has asked. So that is why I'm doing it. Otherwise, I would not have. But please, all of you, work on this, right? If you have understood it, I think it will really add to your personality as a teacher, as an instructor, and will be doing something different from most of the people in this fraternity, right? I'm always there to guide you, right? So anything you feel you are not able to do, get in touch. I'll guide you, but try to do it. That will add a very good dimension to you, to your personality, to your institution, to your university. Okay, ma'am, this is from my side. Anybody from EICT?
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Professor Gaurav Trivedi, sir, and the entire team of ICT Academy, I would like to thank you for coming to the platform and giving us your valuable time. this insightful and informative session today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for hearing me patiently.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, dear participants. So this is all for today. So we will meet again tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the next day, ninth day of the faculty development program on AI for teaching and learning. Yes, sir, you may leave now. Vijay Thakur, sir. This is all for today. If anyone has any queries for Saurabh, sir, you can ask sir right now. We still have 3 minutes to 6 p.m. So if anyone has any queries, you may ask. If there is no query from anyone's end, then this is all for today. Thank you all for joining and making the day 8 of the FDP successful. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, everyone. Now I will be deactivating the meeting link from my end. We will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the day 9 of the FDP. Thank you.